kicks off for the Bulldogs, and then they have someone else who does their place kicking. That's Johan Lassan. But we are about to get underway in the first game at Memorial Stadium played on grass since 1980. And the wobbly kick is taken and rolls out of bounds, and that'll be a penalty. Cherry wisely staying away from the ball there at the 5-yard line, and we'll get a look at the California offense to start things out. Pat Barnes again, the starting quarterback for the Bears. Barnes with not the best showing last week against San Diego State. Those are his 1994 numbers, but Barnes last week was 22 of 41 for 216 yards, but kind of a telling statistic, a couple of interceptions, and 2 throws that I'm sure he knows he shouldn't have made. Raynard Rutherford and Johnny Tavaki, the backs behind Barnes, as the Bears will start on their own 35-yard line with good field position. Niall Benjamin comes in motion to the left, and they give it to Rutherford. Rutherford right near first down yardage and has the first down as he picks up 10 yards on the first carry. Take a quick look at the Cal offense. It's Barnes at quarterback, Tavaki and Rutherford the running backs, Benjamin and Marty Gaskins the wide receivers, and Tony Gonzalez the starting tight end. Up front, it's Tarek Glenn, R. Yauger Williams start at guard this week. Ben Lynch, Jeremy Newberry, and Todd Stewart round out the guys up front for the Bears. But a first down after that 10-yard carry by Rutherford. Cal running now from the I formation. And Barnes to pass. Over the middle, incomplete, as he had Gonzalez, but Gonzalez unable to hang on to that ball that was a little bit behind him. Here's the defense for the Bulldogs. The guys up front, Robinson, Neal, Sargent, Kasner, Love, Smith, and Gass, and a couple of all-name team nominees there. And the guys in the secondary, Woody Green, Marlon Jackson, Omar Stoutmeyer, and Steve Wilson. That last pass, Booze, one that, you know, if you're Pat Barnes, you want to complete that for some confidence, and he threw it behind Tony Gonzalez.
Can get the ball to Tony Gonzalez a little bit more frequently. Last week, Tony Gonzalez looked very good. I mean, it was really the first time I've seen in the year and a half he's been here where he's really involved in the offense, and a little bit behind there, an easy zone throw. Pat's going to make a little bit easier on the receiver there.
Well, even if they would have completed that pass, it wouldn't have counted because the Bears were called for holding, and that backs them back up to the original line of scrimmage to their own 35-yard line where it's 1st and 20. Benjamin, the wide receiver, to the left, Gaskins to the right, as Barnes gives to Rutherford on a draw, trying to get around the corner, and doesn't do too well as he gets up to the 37-yard line. Marlon Jackson coming up to make the stop along with A.J. Gass.
A little different philosophy for Fresno State. Last year, out of the 107 Division I teams, they were ranked defensively 104th, so they needed to make a change. Defensive coordinator Leon Burtnett went to a 4-3 this year. It proved to be good. Last week they held their team to 156 yards rushing against Northeast Louisiana, so improvements there in the defense for Fresno State.
2nd and 17 after that pickup of 3 by Rutherford, as Barnes will throw it. At least try to throw it. And complete to Benjamin. Benjamin out across the 40, near the 45-yard line. Still well short of a first down. It'll be 3rd down and about 11 where they place the ball there.
Well, Pat Barnes had to bail out a little quick, felt some pressure, and made the most on a scramble situation. He had someone down deep, but you'll see the pressure here on the replay as he drops back. Steve Kasner comes on a stunt, the middle linebacker, or the defensive end, and Pat bails out. Good pursuit there, and he finds Niall on a scramble drill. Niall Benjamin coming off a great game, 10 catches last week. He's really emerged with the absence of Ahani Awezike.
Brian Robinson also after him there at the end of that play. But now in 3rd and 11 as Barnes will work from the shotgun. Lots of time initially. Now here comes the rush. And Barnes will run it. And is going to be stopped short of the first down. Got into Fresno State territory, but brought down before he could pick up the first down. He'll be a couple yards short, and the Cal punt team will come on.
Really good coverage by Fresno State Bulldogs on that, Joe. The side that Pat was looking to, the short side, the coverage, if you look at the top, do a good job, and the receivers basically get congested there. You see the bump, and he basically runs out of real estate, and Pat's got to look to the wide side and try to get a first down, and he's just short.
Brian Roberson will be back deep for the Bulldogs as Ryan Longwell gets the punt away, and Roberson will take it on a hop at the 5-yard line, gets around the corner, and gets out across the 20. Boy, somebody missed their outside contain there for the Bears. You need to have somebody along the sidelines who that's his job to make sure nobody gets outside you. I don't know who it was on the Bears punt coverage, but that can't happen.
You're right, Joe. And Roberson is a very explosive guy, and you get down there with great defensive coverage. You cannot let that happen.
Starting quarterback for Fresno State, Jim Arianes. And Arianes came into the ballgame last week for the Bulldogs with Fresno State down 10-0. And starting quarterback Rich Donati having the wind knocked out of him. Kind of a Wally Pipp situation as he came on and led the Bulldogs to a victory, and he gets to start here this week. Look at this set. 5 wide receivers for the Bulldogs. No one back in the backfield with Arianes, who keeps the ball and will go down. Brandon Whiting making the stop for the Bears, and I don't know if that was a design quarterback draw.
That's typical of a Western Athletic Conference team, though. Very scheme-oriented and just incredible. Good heads-up play by Brandon Whiting, though, staying at home.
Arianes, Brown, and Pittman in the backfield. Charlie Jones, the wide receiver, along with Roberson and Warren Fortier, the tight end. Here are the guys up front for the Bulldogs: Weathers, Carr, Odmondson, Malcolm, and Hahn. Second down and call it 10. As they give it to Brown, and Brown's going nowhere against the middle of the Bear defense. Reggie Brown, a guy that Jim Sweeney said he'd like to get the ball in his hands more this afternoon. And the Cal defense, on the other hand, a team that feels like it has something to prove, those guys up front. And here they are: Upshaw, Jacobs, Whiting, and Clemens, the front 4 for the Bears. Johnson, McWilson, and Stallworth, the linebackers. And in the secondary, it's Devine, Gillum, and DePaulo and Cherry.
Joe, I think last week the defensive line didn't get it done. They didn't put enough pressure on Billy Blanton, the quarterback for San Diego State. They didn't do much blitzing. I think Artie Gigatino is going to get back to what he likes to do, and that's pressure the quarterback. We're going to see more dogs and blitzes today.
Third down and 9. Arianes throwing over the middle, complete, and that'll be good for a first down. Jaheed Arnold making the reception. And that's the kind of play that hurts you on third down and long as the Bulldogs make the completion and convert for the first down.
Well, he's got plenty of time. They bring Andre Rhodes on the outside and a little dog, but he makes a big completion here. These receivers for Fresno State are dangerous. And Arnold, who had 5 catches last week out of De Anza Colleges, comes up with a big first down. Look at that ball, perfect. That's a great route, first down.
16-yard completion and a 1st and 10 for the Bulldogs. Some motion along the offensive line for Fresno State. It looked like Brian Malcolm, the offensive right guard, came out of his 3-point stance a little soon there, and that'll cost Fresno State 5.
Dead ball, false start on the offense. 5-yard penalty, repeat first down.
Booz, you made an interesting point before the game. You're saying just watching these guys warm up, you can tell that this is a passing team just by the routes and the passes that you saw guys running in the warm-ups.
You look at the wide receivers and the style. Each team has a different technique in terms of how they run routes, but these guys are smooth out there. They come in and out of breaks. Charlie Jones and Brian Roberson and Arnold on that last catch. They are a very experienced team with a lot of ability to run after they make the catch.
1st and 10, they gave it to Pittman on a draw, and he's got some running room, and then tripped up as James Stallworth came up and made a nice play when it looked like Michael Pittman might break free. Pittman, the guy who had a heck of a game last week against Northeast Louisiana. He is the brother of Wayne Pittman, who played for San Diego State, but he had 25 carries for 181 yards and a touchdown, and a 65-yard run included in that, which made him WAC Offensive Player of the Week.
Well, the Bears thought George Jones with San Diego State was a tough running back. This guy right here has got the tools to be a really great running back. Last year had a broken collarbone, so did not get that many carries last year, so not a bad debut last week.
Comes out on this down as the Bulldogs go with a 3 wide receiver set, and Arianes throws complete to Arnold. Arnold shoved out of bounds short of midfield, but right near first down yardage, and I believe the Bulldogs have it once again.
Well, Arnold making a big impact here early. The corners for the Bears playing off really far. I don't know if it was Gillum. I couldn't see on the snap, but I mean at least 12 yards off. these receivers are good, but you do have to disrupt and get up there a little bit earlier and try to distract that timing.
An 11-yard pickup for a first down, and it's a little bit surprising with the Bear cornerbacks because they have such great speed. Kevin Devine has been timed at a 4.440, and Gerard Cherry timed at a 4.34. So you'd expect him to maybe play a little bit tighter on the guys on the outside.
I agree, Joe. And confidence plays big into that. And you bring another corner, John Penton Jr., who will come in on nickel situations. Great speed in the defensive backfield, but guys aren't hitting people back there, and you got to make receivers pay for it if they're going to catch these balls.
California with a timeout, so we'll take a break with 9:24 left in the first quarter at Memorial Stadium. We are scoreless. Bears and Bulldogs scoreless here at Memorial Stadium, but Fresno State driving. The Bulldogs have picked up a couple of first downs in their initial possession here. And Booz, if there's one thing that was, I think, most surprising about last week's game against San Diego State, wasn't that the Aztecs won the game, but that the Bear defense looked so overmatched against the Aztecs.
They really did. They didn't get any pressure on Billy Blanton, and they looked flat. They were on the heels the whole game.
The Bears show blitz, but then back off as Arianis throws long downfield and incomplete. Was intended for Roberson, but Gillum about the closest guy to the ball for California.
Arianis really trying to thread the needle there for a little corner route for Roberson, and the Bears had it defensed really well. Cherry dropped back off, and the safety came over, and there was just too small of a lane to thread it in there. A
little bit more about Arianis. As we said, he's a JC transfer from LA Valley College, and he came in when Richie Donati went out with he got the wind knocked out of him last week in the second quarter, and Fresno State trailing 10-0. Well, Arianis brought the Bulldogs back and got him a win, and he gets the start here today. Give it to Pittman, and Pittman going nowhere as the middle of the California defensive line had that one figured out from the start.
Yeah, the defensive line of the Bears looked a little bit more active today than we saw last week, Joe. They're just coming off the ball, and they're disengaging and making, you see here, the bottom, watch Andy Jacobs will come across the line here, little trap play, and he's back in the backfield along with Brandon Whiting, Wayne Clemens for a loss there.
Third down and 10 now for Fresno State as the Bear defense in its second, third, and long of this possession trying to come up strong here. Arianis to pass, and here comes the rush, and down he goes, the ball's out, and if it's a fumble, California has it. We'll wait and see if the officials rule that it was a fumble or whether or not Arianis was passing. We've seen no indication yet. It is California ball. Brandon Whiting with the hit, and I believe it was Whiting with the recovery as well.
Oh, what a big hit, too. The Bears run a little defensive stunt with Brandon Whiting come out, and he just beats his man clean and blindsides Arianis. Now, at the top of your screen, Whiting will come over the center right by 67 and beat the fullback who's trying to block him and then just knock the ball out. Well, that's good defensive football. What the Bears need this year is turnovers for them to be productive and get the Bear offense on the field.
Whiting not only making the hit, but making the recovery as well. And now California with excellent field position at the 40-yard line of Fresno State. Pitch it out to Rutherford. Rutherford around the corner. 35, knocked out of bounds at the 32-yard line. So a good chunk of yardage for California there. And rushing is the key for Cal. When the Bears have rushed for 150 yards or more, they are 27-3-1. When they haven't, 7-22. So that is the key for California.
There's Renard, and he had a pretty productive game last week, catching the ball, but not so much running the ball. They've got to, it could be a little bit of running back by committee with Tarek Smith and the explosiveness he showed. So good for both of those guys.
Rutherford trying to go the right side this time, and he'll be stacked up short of the first down. That time the Bulldogs had that play well defensed, and it'll be a 3rd and short for California. Fresno State put up some numbers rushing last week as well, which is something that California has to be concerned with. The Bulldogs rushed for 264 yards. Again, that was against the Northeast Louisiana team that was not figured to be as strong defensively as California. The Cal with only 50 yards rushing against San Diego State. And Barnes wants to throw it on 3rd down. As Tavaki has the first inside the 25 down to the 22-yard line. I like that call on 3rd down.
Very good call. High percentage play, a quick screen to Johnny Tavaki to the short side of the field. where really the Bulldogs are defending and have more men to the wide side of the field. So Barnes shows a lot of composure there. Good blocking by the weak side of the line as you look at offensive coordinator Denny Schuler, who again is on the sidelines this year, and really there as more of a support system, I think, for Pat Barnes, so they can interface when the Bears come off the field offensively.
10-yard pickup and movement along the line. I believe one of the Fresno State players made contact, which would cost the Bulldogs 5. Did you say he can come over and interface along the sideline?
Yeah, interface. But I got to select my words very carefully with you, Dr.
Dead ball,
Fonzie.
encroachment on the defense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
That's if it was a good series, it's interface. If it's a bad series, it's in your face.
Exactly. Well, Booz, I'm going to learn a lot this year, I can tell, vocabulary-wise, by hanging out with you on Saturday afternoons. Last week we had, what was the word?
Well, offensive line will work in synchronicity.
First down and 5 for California, moving deeper into Bulldog territory. Fresno showing blitz, and they give the ball to Tarek Smith, who's in for the first time, and he has a good pickup down inside the 10, where it'll be a first and goal for California.
Looked like the Bulldogs may have been offsides there. They're bringing the safeties up. Now, the Bears saw this last week. 8-man fronts, extremely tough to run against, but the Bears set themselves up by not being able to get positive yards on first and second downs.
Offsides is the call against Fresno State, so California will decline the penalty. And Tarek Smith, one of the few bright spots offensively for Cal.
On the defense, penalty is refused. First down.
Let's take a look at this hole, because I tell you, Tarek Smith with 4.35 and 40 speed, if you give him a crease, he can explode. And you get him in the defensive backfield, he can flat outrun people.
7.7-yard average last week in his 7 carries.
Right end and right tackle on this side.
Right now, first and goal for California just inside the 10. Barnes on a mixed-up play, but pitches the ball out to Rutherford, and he'll get back to the line of scrimmage. That's all. Now, these are the areas, again, you're down in the so-called red zone. You got a first and goal at the 10, and you just can't afford a miscommunication on an offensive play like that.
One of the points Coach Gilbertson made this week, hey, against San Diego, had 7 possessions inside the 30 and equaled out to 9 points. That's not going to cut it, and the Bears have got to cut the mistakes out when they get into this red territory down here close to scoring position.
But I believe we're going to have a penalty call here go against California.
Well, you know, the Bears ran the option. It looked like an option play was developing there, and things just didn't get off, and Barnes pitched the ball out to Tavaki.
Holding on the offense, 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Repeat first down.
Well, the Bears bring in Sean Bullard for a 2 tight end set here, so it'll be interesting what they do. If they can get, you know, for 2 tight ends, these guys can run down the field, and we're right at the point here where you can get the ball down the field because you have enough room to work.
Ball backed up to the 23-yard line now, where it's first and goal. Barnes rolling out, has Bullard. Bullard inside the 15, knocked out of bounds. They'll mark it at the 12-yard line, so a good chunk of yardage on first down there for Cal, an 11-yard pickup, and it'll be second and goal.
Personnel-wise, Joe, for Fresno State, with them going to this 4-3 defense, they've basically put outside linebackers that have been converted safeties. They're a little undersized, so I think there's a big advantage for the Bears at the tight end position to do little plays like that where they can work against smaller safety types.
Second and goal now. Bobby Shaw into the game. He goes out wide to the right for California. Benjamin wide to the left. Tavaki and Smith, the backs behind Barnes. Bulldogs showing blitz. They'll pitch it out to Smith, trying to get around the corner, and he won't get there. A.J. Gass with the play from his outside linebacker position. And that's a heck of a play for Fresno State.
That is a heck of a play. The Bears are off to the races there. If Tarek can just get around him, they've got a lot of room to work. And Gass kept his contain, as you talked about earlier, Joe. You got to keep your contain there. When a guy came, he was able to make the play on top of it.
A loss of 7, so that brings up a third and goal now from the 18. And Cal now going with 3 wide receivers to the right. Tavaki, the lone running back, in the backfield with Barnes. And they give it to Tavaki on a draw. still on his feet and is able to get back toward the middle of the field. And Cal playing it safe there, saying we'll take a shot at a three-pointer here rather than try to give something up. And that was an area that the Bears were plagued last week against San Diego State. Their first opportunity to get on the board, they threw an interception and weren't even able to try a field goal.
Well, there's defensive coordinator Leon Burtonette, who was been around. He was the head coach at Purdue. They recruited Rod Woodson, Jim Everett. Actually was at the Colts for a few years. Was a coach for Eric Dickerson, and now the defensive coordinator for Fresno State.
34-yard field goal attempt by Ryan Longwell. Has plenty of distance, but it is no good as it hits the upright. So again, the kind of mistakes that plague California, I don't know if you'd call it a mistake here, but just a continuation of things from the penalty that backs them up and then a field goal try that hits the upright. 5:18 left in the first quarter. We are still scoreless between the Bulldogs and Bears. Fresno State on first down, gives it off to Pittman, and Pittman not going very far. Gets maybe 4 yards actually on first down, but the Bulldogs got pushed around the field a little bit there by the Cal offense, but were able to rise to the occasion when they had to, and then force a field goal attempt by California that's no good.
And that's one of the problems. You keep these guys in the game as you look at the numbers from Michael Pittman, 1994. Again, those numbers not indicative because of the broken collarbone. Last week, 181 yards against Northeast Louisiana.
Yeah, Pittman broke his collarbone in the third game of the season against Washington State, and then was lost for the rest of the year. So those were just 3 game totals that you saw, and only part of the third game. Now they give it to Reggie Brown, trying to get around the corner, and California has it defensed very well. Marlon McWilson making the ultimate stop, but the middle of the Bears defensive line slowing that play down and allowing McWilson to make the play.
Not what we saw last week with the defensive penetration. Dwayne Clemens, the top defensive end there, you'll see him get off of the tight end and really disrupt the lead blocker there. And then Marlon McWilson, who had 9 tackles, had a really good game last week, rewarded with the start today, and Artie Gigantino likes to see that kind of pursuit defensively. Yeah,
he's the leading tackler for California after 1 game. But he comes out now as it's a passing down, and the Bears will go more into a nickel-type package. Arianes with 2 backs behind him. And throws out of the backfield to Brown. Brown has the first down as he gets out to the 35-yard line. Penton and Cherry on the stop, but not before the Bulldogs pick up a first down on a 10-yard play.
Well, you got a fullback coming out of the backfield. Gerard Cherry at the nickel back, basically at the linebacker position, doesn't quite get out on Reggie Brown quick enough. Brown, who's more of the fullback type, big load guy, still is able to pick up some good yardage there. There's Artie Gigantino, defensive coordinator.
First and 10 now for the Bulldogs on their own 35-yard line. Brown and Pittman, the backs behind Arianes. California showing blitz, but backs off. Pittman picks up 2 or 3. Upshaw on the stop for California.
Well, Reagan Upshaw there really did a nice job on the initial trap block. He got off and was able to come back and showed his good speed and make the stop there. He's a guy that can run like a wide receiver, and it's just a super tough guy to block. Again, not really happy with the game he had last week, although he did have 1 sack. But coming into the season here, this defensive line of the Bears has been highly touted, and they really have not lived up to the billing. When you look last year, tackles for losses and passes defense, also had 11 sacks.
Second down and 6 as Arianes appears to be changing the play at the line of scrimmage, and then the Bears back off after they had shown blitz.
Dead ball, delay a game on the offense. 5-yard penalty, second down.
Well, California playing some gamesmanship there with the defense. The linebackers coming up to the line of scrimmage. Arianes checks into a blitz call, and then they back off. And he gets called for too much time.
Yeah, and I think you're going to see the Artie Gigantino be a little bit more in the gambling mode today based on the results last week. So I think you'll see some linebackers coming in there. And Arianes is a young quarterback. He hasn't seen a whole lot of different looks, and they're just trying to confuse him right now.
Well, that's what Arianes is looking at right now. In addition to Reagan Upshaw, the other guys along that front four for California that you saw. Second down and 11, and now Calhoun Butze back out of it once again. Arianes throwing off his back foot and just throws that one away. Good pressure up front by California. Arianes recognized that he had no chance of making a completion, so he just threw it away above his own bench.
Well, Gerard Cherry made contact, a little bump action there at about 5 yards on the receiver, Morel Hollis. And basically, Arianes just throws the ball away there. Good defensive coverage by the Bears. You see him take a shot there by Andy Jacobs.
So third down and 11, and this is an area where California has had trouble in this ball game as the Bulldogs have converted on their third and long situations. Arianes to pass over the middle and incomplete, as he wanted to go to Arnold, but that pass was a bit behind him, and the Bears got good pressure with just the front four that time, and that'll force the Bulldogs into a punting situation.
Boy, Reagan Upshaw does a great job of really pressuring, and here's a little ISO. Arnold on Gerard Cherry, a little cover two, and he funnels him inside, just like he's taught, goes back to his zone, ball's behind Arnold a little bit, and that is a result of the pressure by Reagan Upshaw.
Jeff Roberts with a 34.5 average per kick comes in for Fresno State's first kick, and that's a low kick. California would be wise to just get out of the way, and it hits one of the Fresno State defenders, Omar Stottmeyer, in the back of the leg, and California will have excellent field position after a 32-yard punt. 1:46 in the first quarter. We are still scoreless. Well, last week for California was a case of missed opportunities in the first quarter. The Bears hoping that that is not the case here as they get the ball with pretty good field position once again. Barnes to throw it on first down. Rutherford out in the flat, trying to get around the corner, gets out across to the 40-yard line.
And Joe, that's the kind of pass that will give a quarterback that is lacking a little confidence, some quick completions, and he just dumps it right back, gets back. Rutherford gets the ball, and the key thing here, Renard is able to break that first tackle as A.J. Gass comes up and breaks that right there. Good, strong leg work, and picks up some good yardage here where the Bears are faced with the second and third. That's great situation for the Bears offense.
Second down and 4. It was Marlon Jackson who finally ran him out of bounds. And now Tavaki trying to get first down yardage, and he looks like a man possessed all of a sudden.
Right. His wide receiver now, Benjamin, trying to make a good block there, and boy, that was a big hit there by Tavaki.
Tavaki picking up first down yardage. He just came out there with some purpose, it looked like, on this run.
They say he dropped 10 pounds, boy. Last year, that was a big hit. As you can see, he comes to the wide side of the field, and there, Gass again gets the hit on Rutherford. Now Benjamin trying to engage and make a nice block there. Boom.
They'll show that one in the films back and forth. And now Smith comes in, replacing Rutherford, and Smith gets back to the line of scrimmage. That's about all. Stottmeyer finally finished him off. You get an idea even there, though, how elusive Tarek Smith can be.
And when you've got great speed like that, sometimes you have a tendency to go east and west instead of north and south. You got to hit those holes quick. But Tarek, no doubt, if he gets around the corner, he's gone.
Actually picks up a couple of yards on the play, so second down and 8. Benjamin going out wide to the right, and Gaskin wide to the left. Barnes with a quick little pass to Benjamin, and Benjamin only picks up a couple. Well defensed by Fresno State that time, and a tackle. There's A.J. Gass once again making a pretty tough tackle in the open field on Niall Benjamin.
Well, yeah, the good scouting report there. I think Fresno, as they looked at the film, saw that play ran about 6 times last week. That little quick screen where the receiver comes underneath on a little delay and allows the lineman to get out and release. But again, we talked about Niall Benjamin really stepping up, I think, last week, and with the 10 catches with the absence of Ahani Wezike, really had a good game. 3rd and 7, but the Bears will not get a playoff here as the first quarter comes to an end. So California and Fresno State are scoreless after 1 quarter in the first meeting ever on the football field between these two teams on grass at Memorial Stadium. We'll return right after this. Third and 7 situation for California as we start the second quarter. The Bears at the 49-yard line of Fresno State.
Scoreless first quarter. California moved the ball offensively, but the Bulldogs were able to stiffen when they had to. And now a 3rd down and 7 for the Bears here. 2 wide receivers to the right as Barnes works out of the shotgun and throwing long downfield and incomplete. And there was bumping going on down there, but no penalty. Marty Gaskins, the intended receiver.
And Joe, the Bulldogs brought the proverbial kitchen sink. They're bringing all the linebackers and the safety. Barnes read it and just threw to his hot receiver. You'll see a lot of pressure on the top of the screen, and then the safety comes up late through the middle. Bears pick it up nice, but Pat throws it just in the outstretched arms of Gaskins there. Good coverage by Steve Wilson, who's probably the best cover guy for the Bulldogs.
Ryan Longwell gets off a booming punt that will go into the end zone and be a touchback. The bad news for Cal is they would like to pin the Bulldogs down inside the 20. The good news is they got the punt off without incident. Stay tuned to Sports Channel as coverage of Pac-10 football continues when the Stanford Cardinal battles the Utes of Utah. That's at 8 p.m. Don't miss the action only on Sports Channel. The Utes, isn't that a line in a Joe Pesci movie?
The Utes. You know, Utah, they're talking about the new grass here, is working with a kind of a hybrid grass. I've read about where they've got AstroTurf about 8 inches below what is grass. It's kind of a hybrid. That's going to be interesting to see how that thing works out.
Well, it's such an encouraging trend that college football is going away from AstroTurf and going back to grass in so many stadiums. A number of stadiums in the Big Ten have switched back to grass. Tennessee went back to it last year. As Arianis will throw on 1st down, had the pressure and in and out of the hands of his intended receiver. That was Charlie Jones, who gets his first action of the afternoon.
Well, he's a first-team all-WAC receiver from last year. Comes into this game with a lot of accolades between him and Brian Roberson. A lot of fear. I know that the Bears defensive staff was concerned about the productivity that these guys could have. One thing Charlie Jones does, he can run after the ball. And you look at the numbers these guys posted last year, is they do have a tendency to drop the ball a little bit. You know, Coach Jim Sweeney was a little concerned these guys are getting lax. There's no doubt they can make the big play, though.
That was the number 3 tandem in the NCAA last year, those two guys, Roberson and Jones. Arianis now on 2nd down and has the receiver this time complete out to the 25-yard line, still on his feet is Jones. And some pretty good popping going on down there.
Well, we see a flag down, and 3 wide receivers set on that, Joe. Linebacker over Charlie Jones. Jones runs a little delay route underneath. What that says is the Bears are just going zone, but you can see from Jones breaking a couple tackles, he's got some big playability.
Well, Jim Sweeney said about his wide receivers, they can make the plays with anyone. They have just as much speed. His only concern is their size. Jones only goes 5'10", and Roberson goes 5'10" as well, both in the 170 to 175 pound range. So you will take a beating week after week when you're that size.
Holding on the offense, half the distance from the spot of the foul. Repeat, 2nd down.
Well, maybe Fresno State's getting a little taste of this defensive line, a little concerned about the depth and the pressure that they're getting up the field and pressuring Arianis to get that ball off.
So the Bulldogs get backed up where it'll be a 2nd and 22 situation back inside their 10-yard line. And the Cal defense signaling to the crowd to get things going here. Kind of a late arriving crowd at Memorial Stadium, but I'd say, what, about 3/4 full booth?
A lot of red here, too. The red wave made their presence today.
You see the red wave right behind the Bulldogs here on 2nd down. And Arianis is pressured and hit as he throws, incomplete.
Now the Bear defensive line getting it going. Reagan Upshaw has not been contained very well, and Arianis just took a big shot. A little play-action pass, and believe me, those add up as the day goes. You'll see him fake right there to Pittman, and then he really doesn't have time to set up as Upshaw's right there, and the ball just goes fluttering. That's a big hit.
Well, those are the kinds of things the Bears expected to see from that defensive line, and didn't see much of it last week.
And you see the coverage here. Bears really playing center field, a lot of deep zone, and when that ball comes up, they can react.
Morrell Hollis comes into the ballgame for Fresno State. He's 1 wide receiver as the Bulldogs go with a 3 wide receiver set. Arianis to pass again, trying to slow it down as they get it to Jones. And Jones with some running room gets to the outside, out to the 30, the 35, and finally drugged down as he gets beyond the 40-yard line. A huge play on third down and a perfect call by the Bulldogs to take advantage of the Bear rush.
Excellent call, Joe. The offensive coordinator, Jeff Tedford, really made, he sees the pressure that the Bears are getting on Arianes. They let him come up. They call the screen to Jones, and he makes a big play here. As you watch the pressure, offensive linemen just kind of let the defensive line leak in. They drop it off to Jones underneath. Good block on Marlon McWilson there. And we talked about the big play capability, 4.35 40 here, so this guy can get up and run. Kevin Devine's pretty well, he's got some wheels too, so you got some big plays there.
A 35-yard play from Jim Arianes to Charlie Jones. And that is just the kind of play that, if you're the defense and you got the offensive team on its heels, you don't want to give up. But it was a good call by the Bulldogs, with California coming with the big rush and going kind of underneath with that quick screen to the wide receiver. Now Arianes on first down. On a draw to Pittman, and Pittman going nowhere.
Dante DePaulo coming up from the strong safety, putting a little pressure on the Bulldogs, trying to take away that run, and he sniffed it out pretty well. Pittman could not get wide, and if the Bears can shut down this running game with the type of pressure that Reagan Upshaw and Brandon Whiting could put on, I think that's exactly what Artie Gigantino would be pleased about.
Bulldogs changing quite a few players on every offensive play as they shuffle those wide receivers in and out of the ballgame. Allis comes wide to the left now with Roberson in a slot to the left. And Arianes will throw it and incomplete as he wanted to go to Roberson, and it'll be a third down and long.
Well, 3 wide receivers. The Bears are still staying in their base defense with 4 defensive backs and just going with the zone concept where the linebackers get in. Really a pretty easy pass and catch on that play, but Arianes just misses the target.
Third down and 11. Roberson comes out and Arnold goes back in for him. But another big play here for the California defense. And this is an area where the Bulldogs have been able to exploit Cal so far in this ballgame. Arianes wants to throw. Here comes the rush, and down he goes. Charles Gillum on a blitz, getting to the Fresno State quarterback. Arianes never had a chance on that play. A 9-yard loss, and it'll force a punting situation.
Boy, I tell you what, big pressure from Reagan Upshaw. He looks like he came out of the starting blocks there, and you'll see him do the spin move there from the backside. Gillum comes on a blitz with the nickel group in, and a big sack there for the Bears.
Roberts to kick it, and it's blocked. California blocks it. The Bears have the football. And down inside the 15-yard line where California will have it. So the Bears finally turn things around as the ball was picked up by Patrick Young, a reserve wide receiver. And the Bears finally turned the tables on another team. California had 5 punts blocked in 1994 and 1 last week. And finally the Bears get to a punter.
Well, I tell you, the Bears have certainly put the excitement back into the special teams. And then this year, you see Patrick Young get in. Good pressure from the top of the screen. That ball comes off, and a couple of guys go for it. Young ends up with it. And I think he's so excited to have the ball here, he kind of just trips up. But nonetheless, big turnover for the Bears.
Bobby Shaw gets credit for the block. And now the Bears with excellent field position at the 13-yard line. Barnes changing the play. And did he call timeout? He did get timeout called before the play clock expired. No, it's a delay. I thought he was going up there trying to signal for a timeout, but unable to do so.
Well, in the jubilation, Bears don't get on the field. You just can't have those kind of things happen when you get in close to the, into scoring. It just really puts yourself in a hole there. You look at Coach Gilbertson, Terry McGonigal signaling in the plays, but those guys just didn't get on the field in time.
So now Cal with a 1st and 15 situation. Tavaki and Rutherford, the backs behind Barnes. motion, going nowhere. Barnes lucky to get back to the line of scrimmage.
Well, I just don't like that play at all, Joe. We saw it a couple times last week, and you're taking a guy who, is not the best runner in your squad, and you're forcing him to, obviously they're going to defense the running backs, and he ends up, you get your quarterback in a compromised situation. Tough play, I think, in here.
So 2nd down and 15 as they lose, or they get back to the line of scrimmage, and that's all. Again, Tavaki and Rutherford, the backs behind Barnes. This time he wants to throw. Time to look things down over the field. Has a receiver. Touchdown, California. Marty Gaskins with the catch in the end zone, and the Bears have the lead. You're pointing. There's a receiver down there. There was a receiver just about the time you did that. I think Barnes saw him as well.
Well, Marty kept working to the wide side of the field, and Barnes was looking to the short side, didn't see anything he liked, and got the heck out of the pocket, was running around, and at about that point, Marty Gaskins, who's made some big catches last year, had a few last week, comes up with a clutch catch in the end zone there.
18-yard play, and now Longwell on to attempt the extra point out of a Kerry McGonigal hole.
That's always easy to see up here, Joe, isn't it?
It's up and good. Yeah, you do have a little bit better viewpoint of who's open and who isn't when you're way up here. California with a 7-0 lead over Fresno State. 11:25 to go in the first half. We'll be back. Folks on Chiefscape Hill with a chance to celebrate California's 7-0 lead, and two impressive things about that, Booze. One, the fact that the Bears were able to make a play on defense, get the offense the ball deep in Fresno State territory. Then after the 5-yard penalty, Cal still able to come back and get in the end zone. Showing some poise, and Pat Barnes showing some poise, really the first time this year outside of the pocket and making a good decision, picking up Marty Gaskins. Pharrell Hollis and Jaheen Arnold back deep for Fresno State, as Longwell will kick it off. And giving the folks here at Memorial Stadium something to be excited about, as Cal takes a 7-0 lead on an 18-yard pass from Pat Barnes to Marty Gaskins. Longwell with a deep kick. Says, nope, I don't think so. 8 yards deep in the end zone, and the Bulldogs will have it. 1st and 10 on their own 20-yard line. Now, the encouraging thing from, offensively for the Bears, you struggled last week, but you really do see some progress today. And take a look at the touchdown here again with the poise, and the pressure Barnes sees. He'll look to the left initially as he sets up, and he does, good coverage there by the Bulldogs, and then gets out. Marty Gaskins continues to work across. And watch this catch. That's a tough ball to catch. That knuckleball you think is easy, but if you hand catch it, that thing could pop out. So really clutch catch by Marty Gaskins. Down low as well. Now 1st and 10. Arianes to pass. Here comes the rush. The Bears after him, and he throws incomplete. Both Upshaw and Jacobs were after Arianes, and he was just able to get that ball off, and it falls incomplete. Well, Reagan Upshaw has not been contained. He has gotten upfield. He's spinning. He's doing pirouettes. He's coming out of the blocks, and that's a big concern right now. He has been in the backfield a lot. Really pressured Jim Arianes. Well, and I think one of the keys that you mentioned earlier is if the Bears can take away Fresno State's rushing game and force them into a situation where the Bears front four can put pressure on Arianes, then Fresno State's in trouble. Long day. They were able to balance that last week when Pittman had a fine game against Northeast Louisiana. Now Arianes to pass on 2nd down. Here comes a rush again, and down he goes. It was Jacobs who sacked him that time. And the Bear defense showing the form that people have expected from them from the start of the season. I keep saying it, a great play by Jacobs, but really Reagan Upshaw coming off the side from Michael Carr. If you look to the right-hand side, he just flat out, Reagan beats it big time. He just comes, you'll see as he comes into the screen, it's an absolute mismatch, and that opens it up for Andy Jacobs. You can watch Jacobs this time come from the middle. That thing really set up by Reagan Upshaw. Great pressure. Third down and 16 now for the Bulldogs, as Arianes will roll out to his left. And he throws complete to Charlie Jones right up near first down yardage, but it looks like he may be just short where they're marking it.
Well, I like the coverage Kevin Devine has on that. You know, he's got great speed as well, and on that particular play, it looks like he played with a little more confidence, but Jones comes back out of the route, comes back to Arianes for a pretty nice catch, even though they will be short.
Jones going to be a little more than a yard short, and that'll bring on Jeff Roberts once again. Jeff Roberts, one of the many semi-Bay Area products on the Bulldog team, as Fresno State calls timeout, but Roberts from San Lorenzo Valley High School in Ben Lomond in the Santa Cruz Hills area. Well, if you've got a light, try Sports Channel Light, a 1-hour condensed version of a Giants or A's afternoon game hosted by Glenn Kuiper. This Wednesday, the Oakland A's take on the Kansas City Royals from the Coliseum, and Sports Channel Light will provide the 1-hour capsule at 8 o'clock. Don't miss out. It's only on Sports Channel. It's kind of like that old commercial campaign. Got a light? Oh, no, I said, oh, I probably shouldn't say the sponsor's name. Not that kind of a light. Think of Sports Channel Light.
See Coach Gilbertson there. Got to be hoping that maybe now Benjamin can get this punt. Certainly he's got the ability to make something happen as you look at Dwayne Clemens there, 54. But the Bears coming out of the chute a little bit more impressive today than last Saturday night.
And as we said at the beginning of the broadcast, this is a big game for California. It's a non-conference game. Nothing's lost as far as the Pac-10 race is concerned, but they've made quite an effort to get people back interested in football in California with the new turf, trying to get people to come out here to Memorial Stadium. And it's tough to do that when you start out of the chutes 0-2. And now, Fresno State going to go for it on fourth down and short. Arianes gives it off. And a first down as Pittman gets around the corner to the 41-yard line. Again, we talked about outside contain, and that was lost on that play for the Bears. And I think Cal just a little bit confused as the Bulldogs came out very quickly and decided to go for it there on fourth down.
Well, Louis Major, the fullback, just makes a fantastic block on Andre Rhodes here. Watch this block, just cuts his feet out, and there goes your contain. Pittman's got too much speed. Good play calling, a little gutsy there by Coach Sweeney.
Boy, this early and that deep in his own territory, but it paid off. And now on first and 10, Arianes pressured and somehow gets the pass off incomplete. A couple of Bears probably going to be kicking themselves that they didn't knock him down on that play. Upshaw in there, Whiting as well. And somehow Arianes able to escape and get the pass off, but it goes incomplete. And look at Sweeney.
Yeah, I don't know if he's yelling at his offensive line or the referees, but Arianes had tremendous pressure, and he shows some poise staying in the pocket here because he's got his tight end, Warren Fortier, open big time down the middle, and he hangs in there. You see Brandon Whiting all over him, and he's getting some heat there.
Second down and 10. And they give it off to Brown on a draw. Brown is going to be near first down yardage as he gets into Cal territory just across the 50. They'll mark him a little less than a yard short.
Again, a good play call. You know, they got good timing here because of this defensive line pressure, a little delayed draw, and I tell you, Reggie Brown is a little tougher load than Pittman, a little bigger. He comes in, or from last year, 16 TDs, and let's look here, just a little bit of a delay. Good block by Brandon Whiting there, and you see Marlon McWilson finally making the tackle.
Third down and short. Brown trying to get around the corner, has the first down, and an ankle tackle there by Gerard Cherry, or Brown goes for more. But he may be hurt over along the Cal sideline.
What Cherry really made, that was a touchdown saver right there, because if he turns it around, he is gone. Nobody else was there. Everyone was bunched up at the line of scrimmage, and it looks like the way he fell or was tackled, Reggie Brown's hurt. Dante DePaulo gets cut. Maurice Johnson misses, and then Gerard makes the great tackle, and it looks like it just got turned up here. You'll be able to see it better here.
You really get an idea of the speed there of Gerard Cherry to close like that and make the play on Brown. And an absolutely clean tackle, but one of those things where you got to grab whatever you can out there, and he looked like he might have twisted Brown's ankle, but now Brown walking it off.
Yeah, throw a little tape on, he'll be back in. They saw what happened with Donati, so I'm sure he'll be back in with Arianes stepping in.
Yeah, no more Wally Pipp situation.
No.
But a first down for the Bulldogs as they move into California territory at the 45-yard line.
And Brown led the Western Athletic Conference in scoring last year with 96 points, so he definitely was a big contributor for this Bulldogs offense.
Brown, but the ball goes to Pittman, and Pittman goes down. Andre Rhodes with a big hit and a loss. And the Bulldogs have not had much success running on first down against California.
Boy, he wasn't accounted for. Came through and a big-time hit there. That's the kind of hit that will get the defense fired up. And watch Rhodes here. Just comes right through that guard tackle gap, and boom, Pittman doesn't have anywhere to go. Doesn't even get to the line of scrimmage. And there's Rhodes, bright future, stepping in for Jarrett Willard, who's now with the Kansas City Chiefs, but a lot of talent, a lot of great lateral speed, as Jarrett Willard had, and nice tackle that last drive.
Second down and 12 for the Bulldogs. Arianes to pass. Got a screen set up again to Pittman. Pittman with some running room to the 40, 35, and then finally run out of bounds at the 28-yard line of California. So again, the good play call by the Bulldogs against the big rush for the Bears.
One thing Fresno State does a great job of, their offensive linemen, when they get out in space, they make good blocks. They don't just get out there and run into nowhere, and that enables Pittman to get out there. Again, the pressure, you see a strong safety blitz by Charles Gillum, who gets picked up. Arianes has got time, drops it off. Now watch these guys come out here. 61, Michael Carr, great block, and little juke there. Cherry goes outside, and that's a big play.
20-yard pickup for the Bulldogs, as they now have it at the 28-yard line of California. And Arianes to work from the shotgun, and whistles blow. Well, we've seen the Bulldogs try to exploit the California pass rush, not trying to say we're going to try to beat it. We're just going to try to take advantage of it. And I think that's a wise decision by that man, as he said Tuesday in his press conference when he meets with, actually on the phone with Bay Area reporters, that man for man, the Bulldogs can't match up with California. And so they have to be able to do plays like screens and draws and take advantage of the big Bear rush.
That's a little Lou Holtism there, I think. I think the skill people aren't too bad on this Fresno State Bulldog team. I think offensive line maybe a little mismatch, but they got some good players.
Arianes to pass on first down over the middle, complete to Arnold, and Arnold will be knocked back after he gets to the 20-yard line. Kevin Devine on the coverage, but another good pickup by the Bulldogs.
Well, Jaheen Arnold comes in today, really the unheralded of the three top wide receivers the Bulldogs have, but he's done a great job of getting into the open spaces and seams out of the slot there, and the Bears safeties are playing back a little bit deep. Things will have to tighten up here as they get closer to the end zone.
Well, talk about Sweeney-isms. He says Cal is a far more explosive football team at every position than Northeast Louisiana. It isn't even close. When they see us on film, they'll lick their chops. We'll look like honey to the Bears. Now, that does sound like a little Lou Holtism there. Second down and 2, and Pittman has the first down, breaks into the open. He's down to the 10-yard line, inside the 10, and it'll be a first and goal for Fresno State.
Well, there was a huge void there on the strong safety position because Dante DiPaolo sensed the run but committed too early. And Pittman's a pretty good running back, pretty elusive, and gets up there, and there's a huge gap. To the left-hand side, you'll see DiPaolo come up. You see Andre Rhodes, 11 there. And watch this move. Cuts inside, good blocks, and he's off. And forces Cherry to make the hit.
A 10-yard pickup and a first and goal for the Bulldogs, who have their deepest penetration of the afternoon in the California territory. This has been a long, sustained drive. And they'll give it off to Pittman. Pittman looking for some running room. Down to the 5, inside the 5, and goes into the end zone. No, they'll mark it down at the 2. He tried to stretch it out at the very last there, but they'll mark him down at the 1-yard line, where it'll be second down and goal.
Well, he really had great help from the left guard, who pulls out Michael Carr. And if you watch on the right-hand side of your screen, 61 and Reggie Brown make good lead blocks and seal blocks. You see Stallworth getting kicked out. That's a great extra effort there. And it doesn't quite get in.
Yeah, you could see his knee had touched before he got the ball in. But now, 3 backs in the backfield, and Brown up over the top and gets in for the touchdown. Reggie Brown, who a few moments ago left with a sprained ankle, or at least a twisted ankle, comes back into the ball game and goes over the top to make it a 7-6 ball game.
Well, Fresno's playing with an awful lot of heart right now. That was an excellent drive, very balanced, mixed up with a lot of runs and passes. And as Brown hobbles up, you can see that ankle's bothering him a little bit, but you wouldn't have known by that vertical leap there.
Well, they made the Bears play honest, is what they did in that drive. Now, Johan Lassan will come in and attempt the extra point. And it's blocked. Now, California can return this ball. McWilson taking off with it. He can go for 2 points. He's only got to beat one man, but he's going to be dragged out of bounds. Holy cow.
You saw the Cal coaching staff saying, move, you can score, and everybody looked like they were going half speed there.
Well, the Bears saw that happen against them last year against Washington State. But California retains the lead at 7-6, 6:41 to play. Fresno State on the scoreboard, but California still leading 7-6 after the Bears blocked the extra point. Reggie Brown
Watch
going over the top here.
Yeah, he really picks it up here, and you can see for a guy that just went out with an ankle, he gets up and over the hurdle there for 6 points. Great effort, great sustained drive by the Bulldogs, and here's the extra point. Let's see where the pressure comes from. Right up the middle, it looks like. And Andre Rhodes will come up with this ball, Marlon McWilson, and watch everybody just kind of standing around. You can get that thing in there for 2 points, and then Gene Smith will alertly pushes it out.
Armin Terigian with the kickoff. The Bears with some running room out across the 25 to the 28-yard line. Rudy Maddox, a reserve fullback, taking the ball for California. The Bears will have pretty good field position as they'll have it. Well, they'll mark it back at the 28-yard line where it'll be 1st and 10.
Well, Bears done pretty well. If there's been a bright spot on the special teams, it has been kickoff return. They've averaged 25.2 yards per return. That ranks nationally 19th, so they're doing a good job there getting themselves in good field position. They just have to follow through with the second portion.
13-play drive by the Bulldogs to get on the board and make it a 7-6 ball game. Now Cal with Tavaki and Rutherford to get in the backs behind Barnes, and they give it to Tavaki. Tavaki trying to get to the outside, gets around the corner, makes one potential tackler pay, and gets out to the 33-yard line for a pickup of 5.
Now there you see Reggie Brown on the sidelines just checking out that ankle, but that was a great run by Johnny Tavaki, really having to scrape and fight and really going horizontally before he could pick up much yardage.
Johnny Tavaki is not a guy that you want to try to bring down in the open field once he has a full head of steam. 6'0", 230 pounds, a junior from South San Francisco High School. 6-yard pickup, 2nd down and 4. And a reverse. Benjamin has the 1st down, and then comes up and says hello to Marlon Jackson, who makes the stop.
A.J. Gass, the outside linebacker, really stayed at home there, and that thing, they had a pretty nice wall set up going into the short side of the field. And you'll see as motion takes off to the right there, and then Barnes hands off to Nile coming around. But number 52 is able to trip him up there, and they only pick up a few yards.
6-yard pickup, but a 1st down for California as they move the ball out to their own 40. 2 wide receivers to the right, Tavaki and Rutherford, the backs behind Barnes. Here comes the rush. Barnes able to get the ball off, intended for Bobby Shaw, but the big pressure was on by Gass, who hit Barnes just as he threw, and I was surprised that he was even able to get that ball off.
Well, Joe, I tell you, Renard Rutherford went in motion there. Nobody picked him up, and the whole coaching staff on the sidelines. If you watch Tavaki at the top of your screen, Pat just does not see him. A little youth maybe, but it looks like A.J. Gass might have had, he wasn't picked up there, might have had a little breakdown on responsibility because Rutherford was wide open.
2nd down and 10. And on a draw, they give it to Rutherford, and Rutherford gets out to the 45. It'll be a 3rd and 5 situation. But you know, on that previous play, I guess what that would mean is that would have been Gass's responsibility to pick up the man in motion if he goes wide open like that. And again, you talk about an experience type thing. If you're a quarterback, you know that.
You would hope you would be able to see that thing, and with a hot pickup, I mean, Pat Barnes' back is exposed there, so he's got to be able to recognize that, dump the ball off, and there wasn't even a safety over there to pick up secondarily Renard Rutherford.
3rd down and 5. Barnes to work from the shotgun. And complete to Benjamin. And Benjamin loses the football. Fresno State recovers. Benjamin was struggling, was going to be stopped just short of 1st down yardage. And Kevin Green comes up with the football for the Bulldogs, who have a big opportunity here with 4:55 left in the half.
Oh, that's too bad. A really nicely designed play where they put Mal Benjamin in motion, and they sneak him through the line. As he comes in, he'll slip right in, right underneath Tony Gonzalez, cut across the middle, and there Woody Green picks him up. Now just got to secure that ball. Those defensive players are told to strip it out.
Marlon Jackson knocking it loose, Green making the recovery, and the Bulldogs have it right at midfield with a chance to go in for a lead before halftime. Arianes still at quarterback on play action. After him is Collins, and he throws back a throwback screen to Pittman. Pittman with running room, 40, 35, and finally knocked down by Maurice Johnson. But again, a good play call by the Bulldogs to take advantage of the California rush.
Probably the most blatant hold I've ever seen. Alan Weathers, number 74 here. And the flags are down. I've got to assume it was a hold. Well, literally just had him by his shirt tail. And I think we can pick it up here at the bottom of your screen. Your left tackle, watch him there. You see Dwayne Clemens. Now, Dwayne will get off and watch that hold.
Yeah, that is definitely, when you look it up in the dictionary, it says C. Cal versus Fresno State.
Dwayne Clemens versus Alan Weathers.
So no wonder that was such a good play call when you're holding people like that.
On the offense, 10-yard penalty, spot of the foul, repeat 1st down.
Now Weathers goes 6'4", about 310, matched up against Dwayne Clemens, who's about a 4'6", 40 guy for a 255. Little speed mismatch there. He's just doing the best he can.
So it's a 1st and 25 situation. The ball marked all the way back at the 35-yard line of Fresno State. So now California in a position where they ought to be able to come with the rush here. Arianes throwing over the middle, complete to Arnold. Arnold is out to the 40 and then bent backward by DePaulo. But a great pickup for Fresno State as the Bulldogs pick up the 1st down, 28-yard completion on 1st down.
Boy, Jaheen Arnold really does a nice job out of the slot, and the safeties are just back a little bit deep. But Arianes has got plenty of time, play action, which holds the backers in there and opens up that area. Nice hand catch there by him. And Gillum just a little bit deep, and he picks up a big 1st down here for the Bulldogs.
1st and 10 at the 37-yard line of California. Brown and Pittman, the backs in the eye behind Arianes. And Pittman is straightened up, and he goes nowhere. Evan Collins there along with Reagan Upshaw. And it'll be 2nd down for the Bulldogs after a loss of 3.
See Arianes' numbers there, 8 of 16, and I'd say a good balance here. You know, that last drive, Joe, they scored on. They really put together a nice drive and really playing to the strengths and the weaknesses of the Bears defense. Timely draw and screens called for big yardage.
2nd down and 13 for Fresno State. Arianes throwing long downfield and almost intercepted, but incomplete. As Devine on the coverage for California. Arianes feeling the pressure that time as well, and you saw his numbers previously. What you didn't see there was the number of times that he's had to hurry.
Look at the pressure here. You see Stallworth coming off the side, and that's a wounded duck going up, and that's what you got to do. Andy Jacobs has got to hit that guy and make him think about it. Devine almost makes a great play here, playing with good coverage on Brian Roberson.
So now 3rd and 13 for Cal, and this is the down that has plagued the Bears in this ball game so far. 3rd and long. Coming with just the 4 rushers. Arnold on a reverse, looking downfield to throw the ball, has a receiver wide open. It's Jones down at the 20 for the 1st down. Gerard Cherry finally made the stop, but the reverse pass, and that's a play that San Diego State worked against California last week.
A lot of razzle-dazzle and a lot of time. The Bears are just on the defensive backpedal playing in a deep zone. Now watch on the snap, backpedal, and they get the ball off here. And Roberson just kind of throws it up, but nobody is, you got a corner and a safety, and that's a big play.
20-yard completion. It's a wobbly duck out there, but he didn't have to make a great pass because Jones was wide open. No one was within 5 yards of him. Now 1st and 10 for the Bulldogs at the 20-yard line of Cal. Brown banging off one tackler. Down to the 15, and then finally brought down at the 14-yard line, but a big chunk of yardage on 1st down for the Bulldogs. Clock winding down. We're at the 2.5-minute mark of the first half. California leading 7-6, but the Bulldogs knocking on the door. And now an injured player, or actually it's an equipment situation here for the Bulldogs, as Arianes was checking out his helmet, and now they restart the clock as he's all right. Part of the improvements here at Memorial Stadium, a new scoreboard in the south end zone. I should say the north end zone. I'm trying to think, I get my norths and souths right. And they'll have the one on the other end fixed in time for Cal's next home game against San Jose State. The Bears with a bye next week. Now they pitch it out to Brown to the Bulldogs. Brown looking for running room, and it looks like he's going to be stopped just short of the 1st down, but he's a tough guy to bring down. He
is, and you saw Brandon Whiting try to body slam him there. You got to wrap him up and get some help because just as strong as Brandon Whiting is, Reggie Brown's a pretty good load at 230, 6'1", but just playing off a little softer than we've seen with Artie Gigantino in this point in the field.
It'll be 3rd down and a yard for Fresno State, just outside the 10-yard line. 3 backs in the backfield for the Bulldogs, but some problems up at the line of scrimmage, and we'll see who this goes against.
Looks like Arianes was trying to do a quick count, and he pulled out a little earlier than his center, Gary Osmondson, was ready for. That's a big play for the Bears there. They go for the field goal.
Well, I was saying it was 3rd down. It was 4th down and 1, and that is a huge play for the Bears, forcing the Bulldogs into a field goal situation as they put it down at the 22-yard line for Johan Lyson. And the kick is no good as he shanked it off to the left. Johan Lyson misses an opportunity to give Fresno State the lead, and we talk about a couple of things in that sequence. One, the movement on the line on the 4th down, and then the missed field goal attempt, and California hangs on to a 1-point lead. 28 seconds left in the half. Raynard Rutherford with a sweep for California, gets around the corner out to about the 23-yard line. And the Bears obviously will choose to play it conservatively here as we will wind down the final ticks of the first half.
Well, the Bears still have 3 timeouts left. I would have thought they would at least try to get Ryan Longwell in here with the strength of his leg at least.
But the Bears will escape the first half with a 1-point lead as they will not run another play here in the first half. So off Ryan Longwell to boot for California, back deep for Fresno State, Morel Ellis and Shaheen Arnold. As Longwell gets a deep kickoff that the Bulldogs will wisely down in the end zone for a touchback. And it'll be Fresno State football, 1st and 10 at the 20-yard line. And Booz, it'll be interesting to see what kind of adjustments both teams make. I think it's pretty obvious that what Fresno State wants to do to try to neutralize that Cal pass rush is those short little passes underneath, get it to the hands of the guys who can then run with it. Be interesting to see what California does to try to adjust to that.
Well, offensive coordinator Jeff Tedford has really done a good job, I think, in catching up with the tempo of this game as it progresses. And as you mentioned, that defensive line of the Bears has been in the backfield, and the safeties of Cal have played deep, so there is a huge gap in there they can throw the ball in.
Brown and Pittman again, the backs to start the second half behind Jim Arianes. And Arianes to pass on 1st down, got some pressure and throws incomplete. Wanted to go to Roberson, and pretty good coverage by Penton for California, and good pressure as well.
Well, the ball is not coming out. Arianes is not really stepping up. You've seen a lot of balls that look like flutter balls. He's not really getting through there, and that's a result of a lot of people around you. But it seems he's kind of throwing off his back foot as Marlon McWilson puts a little hit on him, and that ball is hanging up there. If there was a free safety, good chance the Bears would have been able to pick that up.
Quarterback numbers, Arianes with more attempts and more yardage as well. 2nd down and 10. And Arianes, here comes the screen. Once again, they get it out to Brown. And Brown trying to get into the open. Pretty good defense by Dante DePaulo that time to stay out in the open field and force the play.
So as you mentioned, Joe, again, they're going to the quick drop-off. The offensive line will just basically let that pressure come in. And then Arianes will dump it off, and they picked up a couple good yards on that. 3rd down here at about 5. So I expect to bring some pressure. I expect Artie Gigatino with this nickel package coming in to maybe bring a little bit more heat and keep the heat on Arianes.
3rd down and 5, and this is a key down, and this is the down that has hurt the Bears in the first half. The Bulldogs with pretty good success on 3rd down conversions. And now Arianes to pass and throwing quickly incomplete. As he wanted to go to Roberson, I think Arianes felt a little bit of the pressure that time and didn't throw his best ball.
Well, 2 safeties on the nickel set coming out, blitzing on that, so they're exactly what we said. Artie is bringing some heat, and Arianes felt a little bit rushed. As you look at Kerry McGonigal warming up there, he may get a little bit of time here as he did last week. The plan going in was to get both quarterbacks a little bit of work.
Jeff Roberts to punt. California drops off with the return on. And now Benjamin will signal fair catch, runs into one of his own players, and that's all right. He just needs to get out of there. As Penton down on the coverage, who are actually trying to back up and help him out. Ran into his own man here. Watch this.
Yeah, sometimes these guys that are trying to block get so engrossed on the defensive man, they forget where they're at. Nile with the short punt was coming up, but nobody touched it, so the Bears were okay.
Wisely, and luckily for California, no California player touching the ball there, and no one trying to after the contact there between Penton and Benjamin. Now Raynard Rutherford on 1st down, trying to get around the corner, and does, and gets near 1st down yardage, and believe has it. He does at midfield.
Good offensive line surge, and Tony Gonzalez has really did a nice job on kicking out his man and creating a little seam for Raynard to shoot through as he stretches the defense out. We haven't seen him involved in the passing game, but the top of your screen, watch. Little play, little trap, and just to the top, he will kick out. You see his man just does a little pancake action and gives a big crease. And here's a better angle. See Gene Smith there, loses the tackle, and Raynard gets a nice 1st down run.
1st and 10 after an 11-yard pickup. And they give it to Rutherford again with running room, into the open, 40, inside the 40, down to the 35. Did the ball come out? If it did, a great break for Fresno State, and they're going to mark it down by contact. No. Fortunate for California there, as another good chunk of yardage by Rutherford, but it's ruled down, and California, Bears have seen that too often.
Well, I tell you, running backs like to work in tandems, fullback, tailback on that last play. Raynard Rutherford's fullback, Johnny Tavaki, got a block on Gene Smith. That was a textbook hit, and it sprung Raynard.
15-yard pickup by Rutherford, but he comes out, replaced by Tarek Smith, and Barnes changing the play at the line of scrimmage on 1st down. Smith cutting it back and gets inside the 30. Another good piece of yardage on 1st down.
Well, this is something the Bears did not do last week, Joe, was get that running game. 50 yards net rushing last week. That is tough on a young quarterback because he's faced with long passing situations. But the Bears in this first drive here are really putting together some good 1st down running game.
Well, now you're 2nd and 4, and there are all kinds of options you can do here, rather than if you're 2nd and 9, 2nd and 8. And now they'll pitch it out to Smith again, trying to get around the corner. Has the 1st down, and then run out of bounds at the 22-yard line. But California just coming out and saying, all right, we're going to try to overpower you here in the 2nd half, and so far being able to do that.
Boy, again, I'm going to say Tony Gonzalez and Johnny Tavaki really doing a nice job here kicking out. And you see Jeremy Newberry, just recently converted from defense, getting a great block. And Tarek Smith, again, we talked about his great speed. But the Bears are really coming off the ball. Good kick-out block by Tavaki. Good run.
1st and 10 for the Bears at the 22-yard line of the Bulldogs. First offensive possession of the half for California. A mix-up, but Smith making something good out of it as he gets down near the 10. Barnes with some trouble on the exchange, able to recover and give the Bears offensive line credit there for hanging with their blocks. That's tough to do when there's a delay in the backfield like that.
Almost kind of like turned into like a delayed draw, but Marlon Jackson, you can see the speed of Tarek Smith as Tarek took it to the wide side of the field, really almost outran Marlon Jackson, who had a great angle on it.
A first down pickup by Smith as he got 12 yards, and it's a 1st and 10 for California. Right at the 10-yard line. I believe they may be able to get a first down without getting in the end zone. Rutherford, 5, and then drug out of bounds and drug down. We may have a face mask there on Gene Smith, who had a hold of Rutherford and spun him down at the 2-yard line.
Well, Denny Schuler, the offensive coordinator for the Bears, sees something, and he's exploiting it very nicely here. The Bulldogs are defensing. That is, they're putting another man to the wide side of the field to defense the real estate. What are the Bears doing? They're coming back to the short side of the field and really doing a good job on this drive in running the weak side plays.
Waiting for the official call here on the penalty.
Holding on the offense. Personal foul, grabbing the face mask on the defense. Penalties offset. Replay the down. First down.
An official with a sense of the dramatic in his call there, but offsetting penalties, and you can see that there's no question Gene Smith had a hold of Reinhard Rutherford. What you didn't see there was the hold that happened back at the line of scrimmage. So it'll still be a 1st and 10 for the Bears just outside the 10-yard line. And now Smith trying to go up the middle, still on his feet, and gets down inside the 5. You think of Smith as more of an elusive than a power type runner, but you know, he's a tough one to bring down also.
Well, offensive linemen like it when they don't have to sustain a block for very long, and they don't have to worry about that with Tarek getting up into the hole. And there's Tarek Glenn done a good job here too of really getting off the ball. As you look at the comparisons there on the two running backs.
I think we'll see a 1-2 punch with those guys probably all year long. 2nd down, it's Barnes lost the handle on the football, and the Bulldogs got it. Mistakes for California. They had a similar play on this drive where they had trouble with the exchange, and he just tried to pull out of there too fast. And a very nice-looking offensive drive goes for naught for California. Lumumba Neal, the guy who made the recovery for Fresno State. He's a Bay Area product out of Oakland Tech High School and then Gavilan College, a JC transfer.
Well, I think the left guard, Yager Williams, actually, as he's pulling out, collides a little bit with Pat Barnes, and that ball comes loose, but you got to secure that ball. 1st and 10 now. Pittman on 1st down, getting a little bit of breathing room for the Bulldogs out across the 10. And here's where, if you're California's defense, you really have to do all you can to keep the Bulldogs backed up in their own territory here and not let them take advantage of that turnover. Well, the defense was on the field an awful lot last week, and it's starting off again here for the Bears on defense with these long drives that the Fresno State's putting together.
To take a stand.
See Tom Cable there, the offensive line coach, calmly talking through things with his offensive line.
2nd down and 6 for Fresno State. Arianes throwing complete. Or incomplete. The ball hit the ground before it got to Morel Ollis. Boy, and it'll be 3rd down.
Marlon McWilson came up late, very close to getting a late hit there on Arianes, but that's the type of thing that will get that quarterback thinking when he doesn't unload that ball quick. And as he sprinted out, really everybody was covered, and Marlon just came in and blasted him.
Bears coming now with their pass coverage package on 3rd down and 6. Ollis out wide to the left, 2 wide receivers to the right for Fresno State on 3rd and 6. Arianes throws incomplete as the pressure was on once again. He wanted to go to Roberson. Penton on the coverage, and give the Bear defense credit there for not letting the Bulldogs out of the hole. And they should turn the ball back to the Cal offense with pretty good field position.
Interesting. This is what we did not see last week. The Bears had their buzzard line, what they call, with 5 defensive linemen, Dwayne Clemens and Reagan Upshaw on the outside. Marlon McWilson blitzed in conjunction with that. We didn't see that last week. Good pressure.
Here comes the pressure, but the Bears unable to get to Roberts, who gets the punt off. And now Benjamin is hit, and that'll be a penalty that'll go against Fresno State. I don't know if Benjamin was trying to signal for a fair catch, but the Bulldogs got down there, and there was some contact by Rio Wells.
Well, this stadium, there's swirling winds, and a lot like Candlestick, or should I say three cop.
Catch interference on the kicking team. 5-yard penalty. First down.
That ball will knuckleball, and so Nile, as he was there, was really moving around and did not get enough room and got some contact.
We'll be back with more from Memorial Stadium. Cal leading the Bulldogs by a point. California again with excellent field position to start this drive, and let's see if the Bears, unlike their last drive, can take advantage with some points. Barnes has the one back, Rutherford, behind him, and gives it out across the 40, inside the 40, down to the 36-yard line. That was Tavaki, actually, not Rutherford, and it'll be second down and 5.
The Bears are doing some interesting things offensively with their sets. Renard Rutherford was split out wide, and Denny Schuler maybe wanted to see how the matchups are. Corner Steve Wilson was there. There creates a mismatch there with now Benjamin being covered with a linebacker. Let's see if the Bears exploit that.
Now it's Rutherford and Tavaki in the backfield. And Rutherford will go in motion out there to the right once again on second down and 5. Tavaki bangs straight ahead. Chris Love on the stop for Fresno State, and they'll be just short of a first down by a couple of yards.
But Joe, you can certainly see this week, you know, it seems like they've pared back the offense and what they've expected Pat Barnes to do. He's not throwing as much. When he does, they're very high completion, you know, the quick screens and the quick dump-offs to the fullbacks. But the running game is picked up here, so it's worked out okay for him.
Third down and 1. Benjamin out wide to the right. Tavaki and Rutherford again the backs as the Bulldogs show blitz. Pitch it out to Rutherford. Rutherford has the first down inside the 30. Still on his feet inside the 25 down to the 23. And there's an example, I think, Booz, of an opportunity where you see the linebackers up on the line of scrimmage. Once you pop through that first wave, you got about 5 yards of clear sailing, and you got to make one of the guys in the secondary make the stop.
Yeah, and usually they're saying an 8-man front with the problems that the Bears have had. But, you know, this offensive line, we haven't talked. Jeremy Newberry, the left guard, as you see him pull out, he really does a nice job of sealing inside. And Tavaki gets the good kick-out block, and all of a sudden Renard's out in open spaces picking up good yardage. And these guys, Newberry and
grabbing the face mask, 5 yards on the defense, first down.
Have done a great job of adjusting. And last week, you know, they were not playing in sync. And, you know, defensive fronts that are shifting may cause some problems, but it looks like they're really coming together here and doing a good job.
Well, you saw the two guys who were playing defense last year at this time and actually weren't changed at the offensive line until very late in summer practice in the case of Newberry. And again, Barnes with trouble with the exchange, and he's going to just have to eat the ball back at the 25-yard line.
Boy, I don't know if it's Ben Lynch or what. It doesn't look like Pat pulled out too early. Lynch may be having to do some reach blocking and get out, and he's probably a little anxious, but way too many times this ball's been on the ground.
Well, third time in this half on the last two drives, and I'll tell you what, that's one of those situations where when this drive's over, you get those two guys over there on the sideline and go stand there and take some snaps.
50.
Second down and 14 after the loss of 4. Now Barnes has himself in a hole. Here comes the rush. They get it out, incomplete. Try to get it out to Tavaki. No, actually into the ball game now for California is Brett Malili. That's the first time we've seen him this year. The backup fullback behind Tavaki.
You look at Denny Schuler there and Kerry McGonigal signaling the plays into Pat Barnes. And, you know, regarding the exchange here, I mean, Ben Lynch has got 3 years of varsity playing experience. It's not like he's just stepping in here for the first time. That's the first thing, that's the first responsibility of the center. Get the ball to the quarterback.
Third down and 14. Barnes to pass it, throwing over the middle, has a receiver, incomplete, as that was underthrown And a good defensive play by Steve Wilson to break that one up, as he was trying to go to Niall Benjamin down the hole, but it's incomplete.
Well, the Bears put a little motion to get the free safety out of the middle, but Steve McWilson, as defensive coordinator, said before the game, Leon Bertonetti said, hey, Steve Wilson is our best cover guy. We're going to put him on Benjamin.
So the Bears will be trying for a field goal marked down at the 28-yard line, a 38-yard attempt by Ryan Longwell, who was missed once as the ball hit the upright on him. Terry McGonigal to hold. This one has the distance, and it is right down the middle. So that time Longwell able to put the points on the board, and the Bears extend their lead to 10-6 with 9:04 left to play in the third quarter. So at least the Bears putting some points on the board. They have 3 points to show for two pretty good drives here in the second half, Bruce.
Well, Joe, they're running the ball very well, and they're really trying to take the pressure off Pat Barnes. And but I think the thing that's killing them, they're laying this ball on the ground, and that is just, those are drive killers, and they're essentially leading Fresno State in this game. And with the type of offense really any of these Western Athletic Conference teams has, I mean, they can score at any time.
Well, this week the San Francisco Giants travel to the Midwest to take on the St. Louis Cardinals, live from Busch Stadium. Sports Channel Game Time gets you started at 4:30 p.m., followed by the Giant game at 5. Catch all the action only on Sports Channel.
Joe, were you saying new uniforms by the Cal Band this year?
They announced that in the pregame festivities. So they wanted to have kind of a more intimidating look, the band did this year. So
with the new grass, the new unis.
And the Red Wave from Fresno State, they pride themselves on how many people they travel to away games like this within the state. I think they were a little disappointed. They hope to have maybe as many as 12,000 for this game, and I believe they have somewhere between 6,000 and 7,000. But a pretty good contingent from Fresno State making the 3-hour drive to the Bay Area in the first ever meeting between these two teams. And Barnes and Lynch aren't taking my advice on the sideline. They're doing about 50 snaps right now.
Hey, just because your high school coach made you do that.
Longwell to kick it off. May get a return this time. We will. As Ollis is out across the 20 and out to... Did the ball come out? No. The officials hurrying down there. I thought maybe the ball came out, but a pretty good return by Ollis to get the ball out to the 28-yard line, and that's where the Bulldogs will have it, 1st and 10.
You know, Joe, it'll be interesting to see if originally the starting quarterback last week, Richie Donati, will see any time here if Arianos can't get anything going. As you had touched on, getting the wind knocked out of him last week, and then Arianos comes in, puts together a couple drives, and he hasn't been out of the lineup yet. But Arianos struggling just a little bit, but hey, let's give the Cal defense little accolades. They've had a lot of pressure on them.
27-yard return on the kickoff by Ollis, and now Pittman's trying to get to the outside and gets to the 30, run out of bounds at the 31. Marlon McWilson making the stop.
Well, James Stallworth, the outside linebacker for Cal, has got to have contain on that, and that was an air tackle right there. He had good position and just kind of got lost up and didn't see where the running back was.
2-yard pickup, so 2nd down and 8 now for Fresno State. It's been Arianos the whole way for the Bulldogs. Arnold out wide to the left. Jones in a slot to the left. And Roberson wide to the right as the Bulldogs go with a 3-wide receiver set. And now they check off, and Arianos to pass it. Gets the pass away, and that will be a completion, but it won't do much as Arnold will make the catch right at the line of scrimmage. It'll be 3rd down.
Well, the Bears did a good job of adjusting to that late shift. Apollo was up and got back into the 2-deep look, and guys got back in there, so that formation really didn't throw any loops for the Cal defense there.
Jim Sweeney was coaching at Montana State when Keith Gilbertson wrote him a letter as a player and said, "Coach, I'd like to play for you." And people asked Gilbertson, well, what happened then? And he said, well, I ended up in Hawaii. So he didn't go to Montana State. He said,
10-yard penalty, spot of the foul, repeat, 2nd down.
Penalty goes against Fresno State, and the press corps on Tuesday asked Gilbertson, well, did you ever get a letter back from him? And he said, yeah, what he told me is, you're the kind of player we would like to play against.
No respect, huh?
And And then, interestingly enough, Gilbertson was up for a potential job as one of Sweeney's assistants. And he didn't take it because he said, "Coach, I don't trust you. I know you'll get me over here and have me coaching defense, not offense." Arianes rolls to his left and throws incomplete. Tried to go to Jones, and again, the Bears with pretty good pressure. As Arianes picking himself up off the grass, Reagan Upshaw putting on the heat.
Well, hey, certainly Coach Sweeney is in that upper echelon of wins, 192 wins. He's getting real close to surpassing that 200 mark, and that's a real credit. And you look there at the active Division 1A win leaders, and that's some pretty good company there with Joe Paterno and Bobby Bowden, and you see Jim Sweeney there just 8 games away.
Yeah, Lou Holtz, I think, might have thought he had number 200 before last week. You would expect he would have picked that one up against Northwestern, but didn't work out that way. 3rd down and 23. Here comes the pressure. Arianes, the ball's out. Is it a fumble? I believe it is. If it is, California has recovered. Andre Rhodes falls on it. The ball went forward, but it is ruled a fumble. And California, with the heat and then the recovery by Andre Rhodes, will have excellent field position.
Boy, the hit there. Marlon McWilson, just a lot of pressure. Rhodes come up and crush Arianes, who at this point is 1 of 6 this second half. So he's been taking punishment, and really nothing to do. Contained sitting back in that pocket. You can see the big hit right there. Ball comes out, and I think the pressure and the hits are starting to take a toll on him.
So the Bear offense, 1st and 10 at the 22-yard line of Fresno State. Rutherford trying the right side, has some running room, down inside the 15 to the 14.
Bears have had a lot of success running that off-tackle play, going to the wide side this time, and Renard wisely cuts it right up into the crease here. As you can see, good kick-out block there. Renard lead blocking, and right there, Renard takes it up for positive yardage. Doesn't try to stretch it out where he gains a yard or two. Gets up there and gets close to the 15-yard line.
Now, the bad news, though, California called for a penalty. And we'll await the officials' ultimate call here. The preliminary call was a personal foul.
Dead ball, personal foul on the offense. 15-yard penalty, 2nd down.
Well, would you like to talk about drive killers? A dead ball personal foul, and whether you're the player who started or you're the one who retaliated, it's not smart football.
Well, the Bears have a new offensive lineman, Chris Conrad, in there, and I think in his overzealous attitude, made a late block, cut a guy, and I think that was the call. You see the penalties there on both sides. Bears getting hurt.
So the ball backed up to the 30-yard line, where it'll be 2nd down and 17. Rather than 2nd and about 4 after that carry by Rutherford.
Sometimes these guys get in the game, they want to do so well and have the coaches praise them. They just get a little bit too anxious there.
Rutherford goes in motion to the right, and Barnes will throw it. Throwing down the middle for Gonzalez. Gonzalez 5, and down to the 1-yard line, where it'll be 1st and goal for California. That was the perfect time for that play.
Well, we've been waiting all game for that one too, Joe. We saw that play last week against a 2 deep. On this particular play, when Barnes comes down the field, only a single guy, the free safety, is back there. There's a huge lane right there, and Pat Barnes puts it right there to Tony Gonzalez, who can run, big target, and it's good to see him involved in this offense again.
1st and goal now for California. Malili and Tavaki, the backs, going with an all fullback look, and Malili bangs in for the touchdown. Brent Malili with his first scoring effort for California. A junior college transfer from Mount San Antonio, JC. And the Bears add to their lead, making it a 16-6 ball game. To attempt the extra point and try to make it a 17-6 game. Out of McGonigle's hold, the kick is good. So the Bears take advantage of the opportunity their defense gave them, and with 7:33 left in the 3rd quarter, Cal has extended its lead to 17-6. 17-6 California lead after that 1-yard run by Brent Malili. And this is kind of the scenario, I think, Booz, that the Bears thought they would be more in throughout the season. A tough defense, keeping the offense close as the offense gets more experience and starts to mature as a unit. And then hopefully the defense forcing big plays and giving the ball over to the offense with good field position.
I agree, and really not being able to take full advantage of some of the skilled people the Bears have, and one, Tony Gonzalez, who really has not been involved. Great blocker. Coaches rave about his blocking, but hey, this guy can run. He's 6'6". He's a big guy, big target, but I think that's a function of a young quarterback. They just don't want to put that much pressure. They'd rather, at least early, see him in a blocking mode.
Hollis and Arnold back again deep for Fresno State as Longwell boots this one to Hollis. He'll take it right at the goal line. Gets out to the 15 and to the 20-yard line, but it'll be a 20-yard return, and the Bulldogs will have it 1st and 10.
You see Richie Donati there. He was warming up. I saw him stretching, talk about getting thrown to the wolves. With that pressure, he's not going to be looking forward to this. And you see his 94 stats. Led the returning passers in the Western Athletic Conference. Again, knocked out last week, and Arianes came in and did a great job. So this is his first action today.
Well, he comes in a similar type situation as Arianes came in last week. And Donati throws on 1st down, complete to Charlie Jones, who's still on his feet and fighting for yardage, has the 1st down. Finally, the Bears drive him out. What an effort along the sideline by Charlie Jones to pick up the 1st down.
Well, Jones, we haven't seen that much of him today, and he came in probably the most heralded receiver, 4.3, 5.40 guy, a lot of explosive, small, but I tell you what, the Bears better wrap up here. Kevin Devine does not finish the job, nor does Maurice Johnson, and these guys can run it after the catch like we saw last week with San Diego State.
DePaulo had a chance at him. Finally brought down after a pickup of 11 yards. It'll be 1st down and 10. But as I started to say, Arianes was down by 10 when he came in last week when Donati had the wind knocked out of him. They give it to Brown, and Brown gets back to the line of scrimmage. That's about it. Whiting down there, and then Devine coming up to help out. And it'll be 2nd down.
Well, this is, Donati's 4th year at Fresno State. I mean, there's no doubt he has got a grasp of what's going on here offensively, probably to a greater extent than Arianes. Doesn't probably have the size and the talent, but, backed up Trent Dilfer in 93. Been around here, seen a lot, and a very experienced quarterback.
2nd down and 10, and now he gets the experience of going in down by 11 with an opposition team with a strong pass rush with their ears pinned back. That's always fun. 3rd down, he rolls out to the right to avoid the pressure and incomplete. Gerard Cherry on the coverage as the pass was intended for Jones, and it'll be 3rd down and 10.
Well, he looks calm back there. His throwing motion is really smooth, but Dwayne Clemens put a little bit of pressure, forced him out of the pocket to throw on the run there, and you just kind of short-armed it.
Well, you see there that the second half has been all California in terms of moving the football. The Bulldogs had a big edge in the first half, but still trailed on the scoreboard 7-6. And now 3rd down and 10 for Fresno State. Donati will roll out again. Here comes the pressure, and he's hit as he throws, as the Bears sent Marlon McWilson once again, and he was right in Donati's face as he got the ball off, and now it'll be a 4th and 10.
Boy, that was a freight train coming through there. McWilson just came right through. They blitzed, and wisely, the Bulldogs sprinted out to kind of get out of that pocket area, but still, McWilson had a good beat and forced an early throw.
Roberts to punt it once again. Benjamin back deep for California. The Bears come with some pressure, but don't get to him. Benjamin will return this one from the 35, looking for a lane out across the 40. How did he get through that wave, or red wave? Somehow did out to the 43.
Well, you got to remember, too, Nile had a hip pointer in the first half last week, came back in the 3rd and 4th periods to play, and then has played today, and he's not full health, and he's still really scraping and fighting for everything.
Just a 34-yard punt by Roberts and a 7-yard return. Well, stay tuned to Sports Channel as coverage of Pac-10 football continues when the Stanford Cardinal battles the Utes of Utah at 8 o'clock. Don't miss the action. It's all only on Sports Channel. California again with excellent field position to start this drive, as the Bears have an opportunity here to really take the Bulldogs out of the ball game. 1st and 10 from their own 43. And to pitch it out to Smith, who's in the game. He's around the corner and into Fresno State territory. And he got kind of tangled up in the cords over there along the Fresno State bench.
Again, the Bears running into that short side of the field, and lead fullback Johnny Tavaki just doing a fantastic job. The wide receiver getting a little help there, coming down and sealing off the outside linebacker, and the Bears are making it happen on 1st down in terms of the running game.
That really has been the key to their offense in this second half, hasn't it?
Yeah, and it takes so much pressure off Pat Barnes when he can come in with 2nd and 2 or 3. Just Denny Schuler loves those kinds of situations to call plays.
Taryn Smith split out wide to the right. Tavaki, the only back behind Barnes, and he wants to throw it on 2nd down. Nice looking pass that time by Barnes, even though it's incomplete, intended for Gonzalez. He actually stepped up, delivered that ball just the way he wanted to there.
Just a little bit behind him, and Tony got out, was just running about a 5-yard out route, but the linebacker was in good pursuit. Ball just a little bit behind him.
So 3rd down now, 3rd and 3. Smith and Tavaki, the 2 backs behind Barnes. On play action, avoids one tackler. Barnes can run for it, but he decides to throw it, and incomplete. Had Gonzalez down the middle of the field, and that was one of those times when, had he decided to run for it, he probably could have picked up the 1st down, but thought he saw Gonzalez breaking free and overthrew him.
Well, Tony did break free. He was going to go deep, and then he tried to come back and run crossways with Pat, and Barnes just misread him here. You'll see he's looking deep, and Gonzalez kind of runs into the free safety, but at this point he's open, and then he comes back to the ball, and they just kind of get miscommunicated there.
So California will have to punt it away. Longwell to punt. Gets the kick off, a high wobbly kick. And there won't be a return for the Bulldogs as it's down by California. Josh Moore downing it right in the vicinity of the 20-yard line. 29-yard punt is all, 5:56 left in the quarter. It's the Bears by 11. California defense will try to set the tone for things once again here, as you see that much time left in the 3rd quarter. Brown gets the carry for Fresno State, and he's a tough one to bring down. He's up near 1st down yardage before the Bears finally put a helmet on him.
Yeah, he's definitely a big look. 6'1", 230. This senior, as we touched on, had 16 touchdowns last year, and the Bears really on their heels on that play, letting him get an easy 10 yards.
11-yard pickup officially. Brown now with 8 carries for 35 yards. So the Bears have kept him pretty well in check. Pittman, the guy who had the big game last week for the Bulldogs, 181 yards rushing. But a 1st and 10 now for Fresno State. Donati in again at quarterback on this series after it's been Arianes except for the first 2 for last year. And Pittman going nowhere, doesn't get back to the line of scrimmage. Andy Jacobs there to make the stop.
Possibly a case of Coach Sweeney thinking, hey, I'm going to try to salvage my quarterbacks here. They've been taking such a beating here with that pass rush. We're going to get the running game going a little bit on these delayed draws, hoping that the Bear defense is playing pass.
Well, and his plan was to get them both a little bit of playing time today. He said he'd let the game dictate how that would work, and Arianes has taken a beating. Donati to throw. And throws complete to Roberson for a 1st down out at the 41-yard line.
Well, that was a nice timing pattern by Richie Donati, who got back there and really threw before the wide receiver was out of his break. You could tell that he's been around a little bit. Good experience there, and a nice catch by Brian Roberson.
Well, as a former wide receiver, tell me this, how many times do you work on those timing patterns where you cut and you know where the ball's going to be and it's already thrown before you've made your cut?
All day, and the problem is the only thing that disrupts that is when you get pass pressure. And Donati got rid of the ball there, but that was a nice timing pattern.
1st and 10, the ball at the 45-yard line, their own 45 for the Bulldogs. And Donati on 1st down, play action, lots of time to look things over down the field, throwing long, and it's intercepted. Gillum with the interception for California. Donati just kind of reared back and threw that one as far as he could, and Gillum was playing center field back there and made a fine catch.
He sure was, and I tell you, the wide receiver was open early, but the free safety was never going to outrun him, and Donati got back there. It looked like he saw him, but still threw it up for grabs. And Charles Gillum, who today starts for Marquise Smith, who's injured with the bad ankle problem, but you see the positioning. Jones is not going to outrun Gillum with the position right there. Gillum comes up with a nice pick.
Looked like he was the receiver with a nice over-the-shoulder catch. And now the Bear offense backed up inside its own 15 at the 13. That's what it'll be, 1st and 10. Kerry McGonigal in the quarterback for California, replacing Pat Barnes. And wisely gives it to Rutherford. Go with what's been successful as he gets out to the 15.
And the Bulldog defense bringing up the 8-man front right there. The safety at the last minute comes up as a linebacker, so tough situation. How do you get him out of it? You got to go downtown and kind of hurt the secondary, and those 2 safeties will then go back and play deep.
Well, Keith Gilbertson doing what he said he would do in this ball game and really throughout the non-conference season, and that's keep Kerry McGonigal game ready. And they go to Smith this time, trying to get around the corner. And he goes short of the 20-yard line to the 19. It'll be 3rd down and about 4.
Well, that's a bright spot for the Bears is this off-tackle play to the short side of the field. They've had success with it all day. And everybody, you know, kicking out and then giving a little bit of a lane for Tarek to cut up there and get good yardage.
But it is a game of adjustments, and the Bulldogs will make adjustments to that and force California to do some other things here in the second half. 3rd down and 3. The Bears want to get out from the shadow of their own goal line here. And McGonigal to pass it on 3rd down. Throws complete to Gonzalez and has the 1st down. The ball's out. Did Fresno State get it?
That was sure tough, Joe. As you see A.J. Gass there, it looks like he might have gotten the wind knocked out of him as he gets up. All the balls have been thrown at Tony today. They've been kind of behind him as he's coming out of that break. He's really had to reach behind him. We couldn't see from our angle if he had possession, but it looks like they're gonna rule it an incomplete pass.
The Bears will punt it away.
And this is a better angle to take a look at where that ball is for Tony. And he does, looks like he makes the catch. It just popped out of there.
They called incomplete. And Longwell gets a booming punt all the way back to the 33-yard line for Roberson. Roberson with some running room. He's to the 40, 30, one man to beat, and he's finally brought down at the 10-yard line. Brian Roberson with a fine return. But penalty flags are thrown back near midfield, I believe.
Well, James Stallworth is signaling, come on back. He's confident he might have been the victim on a possible clip, as Roberson did a fantastic job of setting up his blockers. Someone just broke down, and let's take a look. It'll be on the bottom of your screen, but watch Roberson as he just sets it up. He goes up vertical, then goes sideways, allowing, and you see the hold there.
Oh, that was 50. Andre Rhodes, who got popped also on kind of a crackback block.
1st down.
So a hold and a crack.
Ryan Longwell was the last guy with a chance, and he was able to kind of slow Roberson down.
Oh, boy, those are good tackling skills right there. Oh, bring it back.
A 47-yard kick and a 57-yard return, but the ball comes all the way back at the 40-yard line after the penalty. The Fresno State folks in the crowd not liking the way those last 2 calls have gone, as Pittman tries for some running room, and he's going to be stopped at about the line of scrimmage. Upshaw had the first shot at him, slowed him down, and then got some help.
Yeah, Jacobs got back there, and that's good swarming defense where everybody at the whistle is around the ball.
Pittman, 14 carries for 43 yards, so the Bears have kept him relatively well in check as well, as they have with Reggie Brown.
I think last week, Joe, was certainly a wake-up call to the defense. You know, they've got to carry the load this year, I think, and they didn't get it done last week. Played much better today.
Blitz coming. Donati trying to get rid of the ball, and does, but it's incomplete as he tried to go to his tight end, Warren Fortier. But the Bears were coming with a big rush, and he was backpedaling as he threw.
That's called a bailout right there. Everybody coming. You got the inside backers of safety, Marlon McWilson. You see Gillum coming up at Stallworth, and get out of town there. Unload. There's Artie Gigantino in the middle there, calling the plays down. Defensive formations.
3rd down and 9. Well, we had speculated as to whether or not the Bears would do more blitzing in this ball game, and they certainly have. 3rd and 9. Here comes the rush again. The ball's tipped, and it's complete to Jones, who has the first down. Incredible. Jones looked like he was surrounded, somehow got out of that group of tacklers, and picks up enough yardage for a first down.
Boy, I tell you, the Bulldogs are using their lack of size to their advantage. You know, any advantage they can get quick, they are not finishing the play. They're not wrapping up. And a guy like Charlie Jones will make a couple moves. As you see, the ball gets tipped. Jones has good concentration, and Cherry overruns it a little bit. John Penton Jr. misses. McWilson misses. And you can't do that with these explosive receivers.
1st and 10 at the 46-yard line of California. On a draw, they go to Brown. Brown around the corner. And then he's upended by Kevin Devine. But a good chunk of yardage on 1st down for Reggie Brown.
Well, that's a nice run, Joe. You know, Reggie really sets up. As you see, he needs a little blow there. I think gasping for a little air. But as he heads upfield, that gives position for his blockers, and then he'll go laterally and set up the blockers. Does a nice job on that play.
Louis Major into the ball game, replacing Brown, as it'll be a 2nd down and 4 after that 6-yard pickup.
Yeah, you look at Coach Gilbertson, you know he's not satisfied with this score. He needs another couple touchdowns.
Well, again, it's up to the Cal defense. Donati to pass and complete to Arnold, and Arnold keeps his feet down inside the 30. It'll be another Bulldog first down.
Well, throwing against the zone defenses is, if you get protection, is relatively easy. It's like 7-on-7 in practice. Donati's got time, and Cal defense in just a straight zone. Receivers know where to go. They get to the seams, and Donati throws and delivers a nice ball here. And Arnold has had himself a pretty good game today.
12-yard pickup there. Donati, since coming in here in the 2nd half, 50% completion percentage, as he'll go back and give it to Brown on a draw. And Brown picks up a couple.
That's the one thing the Bear defense has got to guard against is just getting in that mentality of pinning their ears back and coming upfield to destroy the quarterback, because those kinds of plays right there, delayed draw, will kill you.
And you got to give this Fresno State team credit, a team that, you know, has kind of taken a beating offensively in this ball game, and yet keeps coming back. This is one of the teams that's considered one of the favorites in the Western Athletic Conference this year.
Certainly a wide open offense, but a lot of these WAC teams that can really do some damage offensively.
Donati on play action has a receiver wide open. It's Brown, and he'll go in untouched for a touchdown. That had to be a blown coverage by Cal, because Reggie Brown was all by himself, and Donati found him for the score.
Well, you blitz, you live and you die by that. Sometimes you make a big play, sometimes you give one up, and that might have been the situation there with Reggie Brown catching the ball out of the backfield. One of the backers is probably on a blitz, and Fresno State crawls back into this game. It'll be interesting to see if they go for 2 points here, Joe, which would put them in field goal range to tie the game up. And it looks like that's, in fact, what they're going to do.
They had their extra point attempt blocked on their first touchdown. And it's now a 17-12 ball game. So the Bulldogs will try to get within a field goal on the 2-point try here.
I would look for an offensive pick play with the 2 wide receivers and a back.
Brown and Pittman, the 2 backs behind Donati, as he'll roll to the right. Here comes the pressure. Somehow avoids it and throws to the back of the end zone. And I think Richie ought to know that, you know, it doesn't do much good to just throw the ball away on a 2-point attempt. If they intercept you in the end zone, chances are it's not going to hurt you. You might as well try to force it into somebody and hope for a break. But nobody's going to catch that ball except the cameraman.
That's right. Go up to that cameraman and say, hey, I was open.
So it remains a 4-point ball game, or a 5-point ball game, I should say, 17-12.
Yeah, and here's a look, a little play action pass, and Brown just releases, and that looks to be the situation. Marlon McWilson, the linebacker's on a dog, nobody to account for the fullback, and he goes in untouched.
But by staying up by 5 now, California can't be beaten by a field goal, although it is a little early to be thinking along those lines with 27 seconds left to play in the third quarter.
Well, Bears did a good job there on that motion of just playing it safe defensively, and there was a little pick play with motion, and they got pressure on Donati and covered well the receiver, so it worked out okay.
But now California's offense in a position where it really needs to make something happen and counter what Fresno State did in terms of gaining back a little bit of momentum. And the Bears have to not be their own worst enemy. That's been their problem.
Well, if they can get that running game going again and churn off some minutes off this clock as we get into close to the fourth quarter here, it's going to put even more pressure on Richie Donati and the Fresno State offense.
Tarigian to kick it off. Cherry and Devine back deep for California. And it'll be Devine at the 7-yard line. And he'll be stopped short of the 20. Good coverage by the Bulldogs kickoff team to get down and bring back my special teams incentives again. Keep the Bears short of the 20-yard line.
Well, Andre Griggs there for 54 for Fresno, a little fired up, and really that's the first time, depending on where they spot it, that I've seen the kickoff return team of the Bears not get past that 20.
Well, now Barnes comes back in after that one series by McGonigal. And Cal again with Tavaki and Rutherford, the backs behind Barnes. And Barnes with trouble on the exchange again. And it's ruled no play. No, it's ruled down. His knee was down. Boy, that's a break for California.
Well, unless Renard heard the whistle before I did, he kind of slowed down and shut it down before I thought he should. You got to jump on that ball when it goes loose like that, especially in this field position.
Well, you also got to be able to get the exchange from the center to the quarterback. The crowd letting the Bears hear about it right now, and Barnes will come over and talk things over along the sideline. As the quarter actually comes to a conclusion, it's still California by 5. Cal leading the Bulldogs 17-12. One quarter to go here at Memorial Stadium. California leading Fresno State by 5, but the Bears probably leading the nation right now in fumbled exchanges between Pat Barnes and Ben Lynch, and I don't know if that's all of the problem. There's been some problem with footwork and some of the other offensive linemen getting tangled up with Barnes, but these are the kind of mistakes that you just can't make.
No doubt about it. Too many exchange problems here, and you know, the last one we saw, well, earlier, it's like one of the offensive linemen was sitting back a little bit deep, but it's got to be rectified here.
2nd and 12, Barnes to throw, and it throws over the middle, incomplete. The ball in the vicinity of Tony Gonzalez, but it'll be 3rd down and 12.
You know, Pat just looks like he's pressing right now. He's just got to get back there and not listen to any coach. Just get back there and be calm. You know, that play, he threw the ball way too hard for Tony, who was maybe 5 or 6 yards. He just rifled it. And, you know, a lot of people are telling him a lot of different things right now. I think he's just got to settle down and kind of keep the blinders on.
Talked about the new scoreboard in the north end of the end zone. As we said, there'll be a new one installed in the south end. Time for Cal's next home game. But right now, 3rd down and 12 as Barnes goes from the shotgun. Lots of time, throws over the middle, and is it complete? Incomplete. Marty Gaskins tried to come up with that low throw, had to await the official's call as he was going to be right near 1st down yardage. But the Bulldogs hold, and California will have to punt it away.
Yeah, and the Bears go to a shotgun here. You see Barnes back, good snap, and he's got good time. He's just got to get it up a little bit more, so Marty's got at least a shot at it.
Longwell gets the punt off, but Roberson will give the Bulldogs excellent field position as he's dragged down inside the 40 of California. A short punt by Longwell and an effective return by Roberson, and the Bulldogs will have it just 38 yards away from California's goal line.
Well, you see the offensive coordinator Jeff Tedman giving Richie Donati the play, and the Bears have essentially left a little, the door open a little bit here. Great field position for these guys.
36-yard punt, 16-yard return. And now the Bulldogs, Donati still in at quarterback. He came in replacing Jim Arianes here in the second half. And they go on a draw, and Reggie Brown not going very far as he's drugged down right near the line of scrimmage.
Good job by Brent Jones in there. A lot of times he's the guy they don't talk about, but he's made great strides. Junior with 1 year of varsity experience will come in on what the Bears like to call their buzzard defensive line, where Upshaw and Clemens are on the outside, and Jones comes in at tackle. Big heat, big pressure on the defensive line.
Call it second down and 9. They'll give Brown a yard on that last play. And Donati to pass on second down, throwing along the sideline, complete to Jones, who is going to be, now they rule it incomplete.
Yeah, defensive line coach Mike Waffle.
You see Mike Waffle?
Yeah, hey, he was bobbling the ball. And did not have full possession, and the lobbying worked. Well, Mike Waffle was on the coaching staff with Coach Sweeney in the mid-'80s, and let's see if he does have, in fact, possession. And no, that ball wasn't even caught. Gerard Cherry, good pursuit and good hit to get that ball out of there.
Keith Gilbertson also substituting as an official there. Waffle, I think the steam's still coming out of his ears right now. But a third down and 9 now for the Bulldogs. They'll go with 2 wide receivers to the left, 1 to the right on third down and 9. Donati passing and incomplete as he tried to go to Roberson. He just felt the pressure that time. Dwayne Clemens getting up off him right now. And the Bear defense rises to the occasion when it was needed, with Fresno State having excellent field position here.
Well, Donati is starting to take a few shots. Joshua Moore, who was in over the slot in the nickel package for the Bears, came off that slot and really put some wood on Donati, really knocked him down, and he will start to feel that, as did Jim Arianes.
Jeff Roberts to punt it, trying to pin the Bears down, and now Benjamin will signal for the fair catch and make that catch at the 10-yard line. So the Cal defense again the offense again will start deep in its own territory. 28-yard punt, but more importantly for Roberts than the actual yardage was the fact that he pinned the Bears down at the 10. We'll tune in to Sports Channel's next Cal football broadcast 2 weeks from today as the Golden Bears take on the Spartans of San Jose State. That's Sunday, September 24th at 9:30 in the morning. And that's a team, San Jose State, that'll be joining this Western Athletic Conference next year as they go to a very large conference, a 16-team conference. It'll be the biggest conference in the country. And is that Kavaki? Not going very far. Now it's Rutherford.
Gene Smith, the middle linebacker for the Bulldogs, one of the better players and one of the stalwarts on this defense. We haven't called his name many times today, but he is up for the Butkus Award this year, which is very few guys are up for that nationally. That says a lot about his play, but he's been shut down tonight. Has not done much defensively.
Second down and 10. Tavaki and Rutherford, the backs behind Barnes. Now it's Smith in the backfield, and they swing it out to Smith, trying to get around the corner. Gets out to the 10, to the 15, and he'll be stopped short of the first down. A medical note for Cal, cornerback Kevin Devine has a lower back sprain, and he may return to action. 6-yard pickup on the Barnes to Smith completion, so third down and 4 for the Bears.
Big first down here for the Bears. They've got to sustain some kind of drive here with 13 minutes left in the fourth quarter and keep the defense off the field.
Barnes, quick little throw to Benjamin, trying to get to the 20, has the first down. He has open spaces. 40, no one to beat. 30, can he get there? 10, touchdown California. Woody Green was after him, but Benjamin saw him and turned it into 6. An 84-yard touchdown pass from Pat Barnes to Niall Benjamin.
Well, John didn't eat the clock up, but I think Coach Gilbertson will take that one in a heartbeat. Just a fantastic play on really is one of the bread and butter plays for Cal with the quick screen to the wide receiver. And Niall Benjamin has really stepped up his game. Last week, 10 catches. Today, this big catch here for a touchdown. Ahani Uwezike is out, and he's really stepped up as the go-to guy for the Bears on offense.
And now Ryan Longwell in to attempt the extra point out of McGonigle's hold. And the kick is good. So California extends its lead to 24-12 with 12:47 left to play in this ball game on an 84-yard play from Pat Barnes to Niall Benjamin. California electrifying this crowd on a play that was just designed to get a first down, and it turned into an 84-yard touchdown.
Well, now makes this really go in all respects. Missing that tackle right there, and he just gets off to the races. Speed kills, and you can see he almost gets closed on by Woody Green, but kind of cuts back towards the field. And again, he's really played with a hip pointer today. I know he's not in perfect health, but having a great game last week with 10 catches, and then making that really giving the Bears some breathing room here with 12 minutes to go in the fourth quarter.
A.J. Gass gave it an effort, but no way the linebacker was going to catch him there. And the kickoff will be taken out of the end zone by Fresno State. And the Bears with great defense as Allis took it out a couple yards deep. But the Bears come up to make the play and keep the Bulldogs back inside their 20.
Essentially what this can do now is allow the Bears to really continue to blitz and put the pressure. They've got a little bit of a little bit better point spread here on that, and they don't have to get out of their defensive scheme.
That 84-yard play from Barnes to Niall Benjamin is the third longest pass play in California history. And I think numbers 1 and 2 are held by Matt Booz, aren't they?
I don't think so.
That would have been you turning on the Jets there at the end?
I don't think so. No afterburners.
First and 10 for the Bulldogs as they give it off to Pittman, to Brown, who's still on his feet and gets out near first down yardage.
Well, you can kind of see why he led the Western Athletic Conference in scoring last year. This guy's tough to bring down, and just as good as throw the ball, give it to him and let him run over about 8 people.
It is a first down as he gets out to the 30-yard line. To pass it on first down, complete to Jones, and he gets free, and he has a first down, and a penalty flag will be thrown in there on a late hit on the Bears.
Well, Marlin kind of went in haphazardly, half speed, and it wasn't a big hit, but nonetheless it was enough to draw a flag, and you just got to have the regimen to lay off when you have that. That's a stupid penalty. It puts Fresno in good field position here.
Personal foul, late hit out of bounds on the defense, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Here's Jones coming out of bounds right there, and
he's
out, and then Gillum does, not a vicious hit, but nonetheless, you've got to kind of roll away from the player.
Well, the Bears letting Fresno State get right down the field here and get an opportunity to get right back in this one with 12:19 to go. California leading 24-12, but the Bulldogs in fair territory at the 42. And Donati just gets the pass off, but it's incomplete as Brown was bobbling it for about 5 yards, and Donati has to pick himself up back deep in his own backfield.
Yeah, and they might have to get a spatula because he got crushed. It was a big hit. The Bears, as I said, I think with this lead they can still let a couple guys loose. And Donati took a big shot. Thank goodness he's wearing some flak jacket because he might have a couple broken ribs.
And if you're Fresno State, Brown has to make that catch, but it's a second down and 10. Arnold out wide to the right, Roberson to the left on 2nd down and 10. Donati throwing complete to Roberson, and that will be a 1st down as he gets to the 30-yard line of California.
Really nice catch by Roberson. 1 foot in for college football. He does a little tap dance there. Coming off a game last year where he had, last week, 8 catches. He's been a big part of this Bulldog offense. Redshirted in 93, 94 last year, had 50 catches. So these two guys are in conjunction with Arnold. Roberson, Arnold, and Charlie Jones are really a pretty good group of wide receivers.
Pickup of 12, so it's 1st and 10. Pittman going to be stopped short of the line of scrimmage. Well, that's really a key that Cal has been able to, for the most part, shut down this Fresno State running game. I mean, you know they're going to come out and wing it, and you know that they have some athletes at wide receivers who can make the plays, but at least they have, for the most part, shut down the rushing game of the Bulldogs.
Well, Bear defense is certainly a different group than we witnessed Jack Murphy Stadium last week. I think they didn't meet the standards that they had set for themselves. They're coming out today and putting a lot more pressure and playing with a lot more speed than we saw last week.
Donati throwing out of the backfield to Brown. Brown has running room. He will go. He gets in for the touchdown. Reggie Brown, for the 2nd time today, getting the ball in open field and turning it up for a score. The first time he went in untouched. This time he had to angle for the flag, but he got in for the score.
The play we just saw a couple plays ago where Brown couldn't make the catch, they go back to the same play. Brown gets a good block, and I guess the beauty for the Bulldogs on that series is they only used up about a minute or two. They still got plenty of time.
Well, that's the one thing the Bears did not want to do, and Brown is still down as he had an ankle problem earlier.
And you'll see a lot of pressure. Dante DePaulo coming up the middle. James Stallworth, Bears a little exposed defensively in the backfield, and a good block there. And Reggie Brown at 230 can still put it up. Hits the pylon for the touchdown, and they close this gap.
Well, the one thing the Bears didn't want to let happen there is let Fresno State come right down, get a touchdown, and get back into the ball game. But that's exactly what happened with only a minute 27 off the clock from the last time Cal scored on that big 84-yard play.
And that's the problem with this offense, you know, from a defensive standpoint for the Bears, is you cannot leave an opening. These guys have just quick strike capability. Those wide receivers, you know, they're taking 15 yards a chunk on every pass play.
Johan Lassan will come in and attempt the extra point. Backup quarterback Larry Haney, the holder for the Bulldogs, as the officials wait to get things set along the line of scrimmage now. Brown has had a day, 13 carries, 61 yards and a touchdown, and 4 catches for 70 yards and 2 touchdowns, high snap, and it is good. So 11:20 left to play in this ball game, and Fresno State back within 5 at 24-19. Well, Brown has all 3 of the Bulldogs' touchdowns. 2 by the air, 1 on the ground. But it's looking doubtful as to whether or not he'll be able to continue as he hobbles off the field.
Now that ankle is bothering him from the tackle that Gerard Cherry made on him in the second quarter. You wouldn't know it by the production he's had since that point when he hurt it.
So now the Cal offense back in a situation where it has to produce.
And they better not turn it over. I mean, there just cannot be any turnovers at this point. They've got to, number one, secure the exchange from center to quarterback and then go from there. They've got to do that. You see Denny Schuler on the sideline say, get the snap first before you do anything else. And all of a sudden, the red wave is coming to light here. They have a pulse.
The red wave may be outnumbered, but they're making a lot of noise. It'll be Tarigian kicking off for the Bulldogs. Benjamin and Devine back deep for California. And now the Fresno State defense will try to see what it can do, as the Bears would love love nothing more than to make a long, sustained drive that results in points on the scoreboard. Karigian's kick, a low wobbler, that will be taken by Cherry. And Cherry out across the 30, and an ankle tackle there prevents him from going considerably further. DeMarco Ford making the stop for the Bulldogs after a 22-yard return by Gerard Cherry.
Well, that'll help. As you look at Pat Barnes' numbers here, you see Denny Schuler, 10 of 19, 2 TDs, no interceptions today, unlike last week where he had 2. That's going to really help. The only thing is let's get this exchange, guys. They gotta make sure they got that handled.
Absolutely, nothing wrong with those numbers and a relatively conservative approach by the Bears, trying to keep the ball on the ground and build up Barnes' confidence. He'll pass it here on first down. Lots of time to throw, all day to throw, and throws complete. Bobby Shaw with the reception. He'll be short of first down yardage, but a nice chunk on first down.
Boy, that looked really nice. Pat Barnes got back there, moved his feet, looked around, initially wanted to go to Tony Gonzalez, where 2 linebackers were hovered in and out. Went to his second and actually went to his third receiver there. As you can see here, he gets good protection. Tabaki in, and he wants to go to Gonzalez. He tries to pivot back out, but falls down, and then comes back to Bobby Shaw, who works to get open for a big first down there for the Bears.
Yeah, now where they've marked his forward progress, he does have a first down, a 12-yard pickup. And now Rutherford will try the left side, has running room, and is into Fresno State territory across midfield. And he picks up about 7. If the Bears can pick up chunks of yardage like that on first down, they'll be very happy.
You know, from a quarterback standpoint, Joe, they love to throw on receivers. You believe first down is going to be predominantly zone. It's easy to throw against zone, and that last reception to Bobby Shaw is the type of thing that they know, the coaching staff knows Pat Barnes can do. And when he gets protection and it has poise, he can be real productive.
And now let's see what these whistles are all about, as Cal came up to the line of scrimmage with a 2nd down and 3 situation.
Now it's his knee, I guess, huh? Initially, when he had Gerard Cherry tackled him, I thought his ankle, but now it looks like they're taping up that knee for Reggie Brown.
Fisher is getting things straight on the field on 2nd down and 3. Rutherford near first down yardage. See where they spot it, but I believe he has the first down. And this is the point in the game and the point in the field when if you're California back in the huddle, you got to tell every guy, hang on to the football here. And then as a quarterback, you also have to concentrate on not trying to do anything until you got the ball in your hands on the exchange.
That's right. And as receivers and running backs, if you can stay in bounds, boy, that's gonna pay dividends later in the game, and just keep that clock going.
Down near the 10-minute mark, 10:02. We'll go inside 10 minutes on this play. As Barnes on first down gives off to Smith, and he goes nowhere.
Well, that was Steve Kasner on the hit there. And again, Leon Burtonette citing that between him and Gene Smith, really the 2 anchors on this defense. Actually, his brother Al played here at Cal from '89 to '92, so he's got a little bit of a Cal tradition. Probably didn't play, obviously didn't play here, but probably went to a few games here.
Second down and 10. Tavaki and Smith the backs. And that's Smith in motion now to the right. As Barnes has time. Throwing down the field for Smith and incomplete. That's a tough throw as he had to lead him just right. Marlon Jackson on the coverage, and it'll be 3rd and 10.
Well, that's a great effort, too. I don't think we saw Ricky Waters make that attempt last week. Good effort because that safety, Marlon Jackson, was coming full steam.
Who's getting his shots at Ricky Waters on the alligator arms play?
The Izod man. And Barnes gets back there and unloads it just a little bit too far, but you'll see Jackson right there. He had the radar.
But the heat seeker misses. 3rd down and 10. Barnes will go from the shotgun. Has time. Throwing along the sideline. Has Gaskins incomplete. Just a little too much smoke on that ball, and it goes incomplete, so 4th down and 10.
Well, if you're playing the field position game here, Longwell can hopefully get him back in there and hopefully not let Roberson get a return here. We've seen what kind of damage he can do, and we can play the field position game and get the Bear defense to put some pressure, and the Bears will really be in a good spot to get the ball back with decent field position and hopefully score next time.
And if you're Cal, the most important thing right now, just get the punt off with the problems they've had with the punting game in the past. And Longwell, the boomer, and it will just go into the end zone, and it will give the Bulldogs the ball at the 20-yard line after the touchback. We'll be back. 9:06 to play at Memorial Stadium. It's the Bears by 5. Not much action at that point of the field, but down in the Fresno State section, the red wave getting things going as the Fresno State offense on the field, motioning to the their home fans in the crowd to get the noise going, and the folks responded. As we said, they may be outnumbered, but you don't know it by the noise.
They're a loud group.
Now the Cal defensive players signaling, hey, there's a lot more of you guys in blue and gold than there are those folks in red. So now the Memorial Stadium home crowd responds, and Donati going to have trouble hearing on the snap on 1st and 10 from his own 20. And throws complete to Roberson. And Roberson has the ball out to the 33. And that will silence the crowd very quickly.
It sure will. That's a positive play. I think what Richie Donati saw initially was Kevin Devine in bump and run coverage. Actually, it was a disguise. Before the snap of the ball, Devine bailed out and went to zone. On that, Roberson adjusts to a quick hitch, but he still makes a lot of yards on that. Good audible by Richie Donati.
14-yard play. Fresno State trailing by 5. With 8:45 to play. 1st and 10 for the Bulldogs. Donati gives it off to Pittman. Pittman out to the 40. And stopped after a pickup of about 4.
Well, the Bears really giving indications that they're going to blitz McWilson and Andre Rhodes, stepping up into those gaps, making Donati think. Hopefully get him to check out of that. But they run the ball wide. Good pursuit by Bear defense.
They'll give him 5 on that play. So 2nd down and 5 now for the Bulldogs. As they're getting out near their own 40-yard line. And the Cal defense being asked to step up one more time. Draw play. Pittman. And he will not get the 1st down. Initially, it looked like he might, but the Bear defense closed on him. Andre Rhodes making the initial stop. Reagan Upshaw also there to help out.
Well, Andre Rhodes filled in for his former linebacker, Jarrett Willard, very nicely there. Really played off the block, made a good hit, and combined with Reagan Upshaw coming from the backside, put a big lick on the fullback there.
Pittman's carried the ball 17 times, gained just 53 yards, as the Bears, as we said, have kept the Fresno State running game pretty well in check. And now they will measure for a 1st down here, I believe. Yes, they will. I thought they had been stopped short of the 1st down. As Pittman had a pretty good initial surge before he was thrown back. And he will be almost a yard short. They had to bring the chains from all the way across the field. Jim Sweeney asked if his team gets up for a Pac-10 team more so than others, and you know the WAC coaches are just about sick of hearing that question. But Sweeney has a fine record against the Pac-10.
Really a different makeup too when you look at the basis of a Fresno State team consists a lot of JC transfers. They depend a lot on that, where Cal is going for the 4-year player, and there are some problems for Cal that Coach Gilbertson touched on with unit transfers and things related academically that make it tougher for Cal to get JC people in here.
Here we go, 3rd down and short, and they'll quickly come out and go for it and pick up the 1st down. Brown! How is he back in the ballgame? We saw his knee being worked on. He's had a bad ankle. He brings it into Cal territory. The ball at the 47-yard line.
Boy, they're putting him together with masking tape and chicken wire and anything they can find. He just keeps getting out there. And on a short yardage situation like that, once you get to the line of scrimmage, sometimes you have some big plays.
Well, that's the second time we've seen the Bulldogs hustle right out of the huddle and come up and run a quick play. And it worked again here. I was talking about Sweeney's record against the Pac-10. He's 12-7 lifetime against the Pac-10 at Fresno State. But 1st and 10 now. Donati to pass. Has a receiver. It's Jones, and pretty good defense by California that time as Gerard Cherry's there to quickly wrap him up after a pickup of maybe 2.
Great defense play. Gerard's being watched by quite a few scouts this year with the 40 time that he had, making a great move, I think, from free safety to corner last year. I think it was a big move, good move for him. He's got those kind of cover skills, and that was indicative on that stop there.
He's been clocked at a 4.34 in the 40-yard dash. Second down and 8. And Donati, lots of time to look down the sideline, and is it caught? Yes, it is. Completion to Roberson. Nice looking ball by Donati that time on that long sideline route, and Charles Gillum is down and he's hurt.
Yeah, he says he's okay, and I tell you, Richie Donato does a nice job of threading the ball in between the corner and Charles Gillum here, and what you call a cover 2. There's a small little hole in between there, and he threads it right in there. Roberson knows he's going to take a lick and gets right in that gap, goes up for it to protect it. Then Gillum really takes most of the abuse on that play. Good catch by Roberson.
21-yard completion. And that's a tough throw, a long sideline play like that. And Donati able to complete it. And now the Bulldogs knocking on the door as they're down to the 24-yard line of California in a position where they can take the lead with a touchdown.
Boy, Gillum, he was already extended when he hit Roberson, and Roberson's momentum knocked him back a little bit. Looked like maybe hyperextended his back.
Clock stopped, 6:26 to play in the ball game. Now they started back up. So the Bulldogs in a position where they can use up a good chunk of what's left of the 4th quarter here and take the lead if they get in the end zone. Brown out inside the 20. Pickup of about 6 on 1st down. Well, I guess if you're Jim Sweeney, you look at number 10 to be your starting quarterback for the next ball game, as he's come in and given the Bulldogs the lift that Jim Arianes did last week in a win over Northeast Louisiana.
Well, Donati, conversely, last week at the time he played, had thrown 2 interceptions with 6 of 13 when he got the wind knocked out of him. As you said, Joe, Arianes then came in and until the 3rd quarter here was their quarterback. 2nd
down and 4, and whistles blow here. See what this is all about.
Timeout, California. That's their first timeout.
That's what it's all about. I saw some California coaches kind of jumping up and down along the sideline. So
looks like they have 12 people on the field there, Joe. Substitution problem.
They didn't want to get cost the 5 yards, so they got the timeout called. 5.5 minutes left to play at Memorial Stadium. It's California hanging on by 5. Second down and 4 for the Bulldogs. They give it up to Pittman. Pittman has 1st down yardage, still on his feet, and he's inside the 10 of California. And we are definitely in 4-down territory for Fresno State here with 5:28 to play. I think even if it's a 4th down situation, I think they'll forego anything to do with a field goal at this point. And that's really what it comes down to for Cal. Fresno State's going to have 4 cracks at the ball inside the 10 here. Donati 6 for his last 6 passing, 11 for 18 overall for 165 yards and a touchdown. And I think he's your starter next week if you're Fresno State in their game against UOP. 1st and goal. They'll pitch it out to Pittman. Pittman trying to get around the corner, and he somehow does. He's knocked out of bounds down just outside the 5. They mark it down at the 6-yard line.
Well, there's an indication of the type of runner Pittman is. Maurice Johnson was in perfect position to make the hit, and Pittman just kind of leverages himself down, and they cannot bring this guy down. Between him and Brown, these guys are pretty talented running backs.
2nd down and goal from the 6. Clock stopped, 5:04 to play. A touchdown by the Bulldogs and an extra point puts them up by 2. So the Bears must stop the Bulldogs here. Donati gives it off to Pittman once again. Pittman trying to go to the end zone and does for the touchdown. Michael Pittman, a 6-yard touchdown run, and the Bulldogs, for the first time today, have taken the lead.
Well, James Stallworth made a great effort here to make the tackle and jumps over the blocker, but all day we've seen the Bulldogs, with their running tandem, have done a great job between Brown and Pittman. Let's take a look here, just a little delay. He's got the lead blocker with Brown, and watch Stallworth go over, and DePaulo can't reach him, and they get in the end zone.
Now Fresno State, I'm sure, will go for 2 here to prevent California the opportunity of winning with a field goal. And that's what the Bulldogs will do. So here's a huge play also.
Watch for motion again, and they may try some kind of option with the pick.
Donati to pass it, and throws incomplete. As a good defensive play by California that time. They tried to go to Roberson, and it's incomplete. So now, with 5 minutes exactly left to play, California can get into position where a field goal would win it. But the Bears find themselves trailing for the first time this afternoon with 5 minutes to go. California finds itself trailing for the first time this afternoon on the first game since 1980 played on real grass here at Memorial Stadium. But California, hoping it doesn't end up in a loss, the Bears will have to do something dramatic in the last 5 minutes to prevent that from happening. Pat Barnes, you saw him standing along the sideline waiting for this kickoff to see his opportunity. Armin Tarigian will kick it off for the Bulldogs. It's Cherry and Kevin Devine back deep for California, hoping to give the Bears good field position with which to start what would figure to be their final drive. Short kick, the ball's out. And did the Bears recover, or did the Bulldogs get it? The Bulldogs signaling that they have it, but it is California football.
A good piece of strategy there by knuckleballing the ball so the 2 deep receivers, Cherry, don't have an opportunity. Looks like the Bears are going to come up with it. But Justin Flagg, once you get that ball, you're not used to running with it, and the helmet goes right on the ball, and it pops right out. And Malili there, Brent Malili, alertly jumps on it.
So the Bears with the ball with pretty good field position on their own 32-yard line, as they were able to cover that fumble. And this is about the biggest series in Pat Barnes' young career as a junior. Savaki and Rutherford, the backs behind him. 4:55 to play in this one. Barnes on first down. Swinging out to Savaki, incomplete. And it'll be 2nd and 10.
Boy, Tarek Glenn did a nice job of holding up Kasner, the defensive tackle, and if Tavaki could have gotten that ball, he would have had a nice pickup there. So Bears coming out throwing, but high percentage, easy passes. They've got plenty of time. They've got 2 timeouts. They can just show a lot of poise here and just sequentially get first downs and get in close to scoring position.
2nd down and 10. Same 2 backs behind Barnes as he will throw it again. Gonna run for it. Gonna be stopped short of the first down as he gets up near the 35. Call it the 34. So it'll be 3rd down and 8 after pickup of a couple.
Well, excellent decision on just holding the ball and taking it upfield. Last week we might have seen him put the ball up and try to make something happen. At this point in the game, you want to get another opportunity. So smart move by Pat Barnes here.
Well, with Ryan Longwell kicking, the Bears know he has lots of range. He tried a 57-yarder against Washington State last year to win a ball game that just missed. But the first thing they have to do is pick up a first down here on 3rd and 8. Barnes to go from the shotgun. Throwing across the middle, incomplete. As he wanted to go to Gaskins. 4:40 to play, and the punt team will come on.
Well, the Bears are not going to go for it. They're going to put it back on the defense to stop the Bulldogs. And that's going to be a big task, the way those guys have been running the ball and really doing a good job.
It'll be Ryan Longwell punting. Roberson back deep for the Bulldogs, and the Bears need a boomer from Longwell here. It's a low, wobbly kick. There'll be a return. Roberson back around his own 25. Good coverage by the Bears that time. Andre Rose down there, Marlon McWilson. And Fresno State will have the ball at its own 24. The Bears with a couple of timeouts left in 4.5 minutes. So they only lost 30 seconds. But the defense will be called upon here. And the challenge for Fresno State will be move the ball without putting it up in the air, I assume, so that California would have a chance at forcing a turnover.
Boy, this is kind of a second win for Fresno State. All of a sudden, they've got an opportunity to win the game, and you could just see the emotion and the energy on the sidelines has just picked up.
And a game that it looked like the Bears pretty much had in control here in the second half. They led by 12 at one time. Pittman, that will not do it for Cal as he comes out across the 30 to the 33, and he's going to be just short of first down yardage. But it'll be 2nd down and 1, and the clock will run now as we're down to 4:15 left to play in this ball game.
Well, the Bears defense has got to play stouter than that on first down. 9 yards on a first down run to Pittman is, as you said, not going to cut it.
And Fresno State now will take as long as possible in the huddle before coming out. Play clock down to 10 seconds. And Donati smartly will take as much of that time as he possibly can. Give it off to Pittman, and Pittman will have first down yardage, so it'll be 1st and 10. The Bulldogs will move the chains as we're down inside 4 minutes, 3:42 to play. Clock stopped while they reset the chains on first down, but then they'll start them up again as soon as the ball's set. Right now. The Bears will have to take a gamble here on defense now. And again, the Bulldogs will stay in the huddle as long as possible.
And you can bet the running backs are going to stay in bounds and do everything to keep that clock moving.
Donati gives it off to Brown. Brown gets back to the line of scrimmage, that's all. And the Bears pretty soon are going to be forced to use timeouts as clock running. We're almost down to the 3-minute mark. They may let the Bulldogs run one more play, and on 3rd down elect to stop the clock.
You know, that clock is still running here. The Bears have 2 timeouts. It's interesting to see when they decide to use this thing.
We're inside 3 minutes now. And Fresno State down to 8 seconds on the play clock. The Bulldogs, as we said, will use as much of that time as they possibly can. Get the snap off just in time. Brown going to be stopped at about the line of scrimmage once again, so it's 3rd down. And now I would think the Bears would use a timeout right now. If they're going to do it, they're letting precious time tick off now before they use it.
There you go, timeout there, Coach Gilbertson.
Well, they let about 8 seconds go by before they made the timeout.
Timeout, California, that's their 2nd timeout.
So the Bears will have 1 left. And absolutely key here on 3rd down that they stop the Bulldogs right now. If you're Fresno State, you're in that kind of no man's land of, you know, you really don't want to give the ball back on a punt, but you don't really want to put it up in the air at this point either.
Yeah, and they're going to just keep it simple. Not a lot of exotic exchanges. The ball probably not going to go in the air. Just make, you know, sure. I'm sure as Jeff Tedford there, the offensive coordinator, is going to tell Richie Donati to tell the offensive group, hold on to the ball. Let's just keep it simple, keep it in bounds. Let them use up their last timeout and get a first down. They get another first down, and it's not good.
Well, there was a time when California had pretty much kept the running game of Fresno State under control in this ballgame, but now the numbers at this point, Pittman 22 carries for 82 yards and a touchdown, and Brown 17 carries for 77 yards and a touchdown. Brown also has 2 touchdowns by reception. So the Bulldogs have put together a pretty good ground effort between those 2 guys as we're down to the final 2:22 of the game. But now 3rd down and 10. Donati will pass it. He's under pressure now and is able to just throw it away as Devine had a shot at it for the interception. Didn't come up with a ball, and that would have been a huge break for the Bears to get it right there at midfield.
If you're Fresno State, I don't know what you're thinking doing that right there at that point. Donati puts the ball up. Kevin Devine has an opportunity to get an interception. He just jumps a little bit early, but you're putting it up there, I just think is questionable, and he gets harassed by Reagan Upshaw, gets great pressure, and Kevin Devine just jumped a little bit earlier. He would have had an interception.
Jeff Roberts will punt it, and he gets a short punt away that Benjamin will let roll as he was signaling fair catch. In California, excellent field position, 2:08 to play and 1 timeout, so the Bears still have a chance right now.
I think they're in excellent position right now, Joe. Good field position. Pat Barnes, as you see him kind of huddling there with the offense as Denny Schuler looks over the play selection. Plenty of time. Now, conversely, these guys have got to be concerned with getting out of bounds. If you have an opportunity to gain 1 yard or get out of bounds, what do you do? You get out of bounds.
Pass the test.
Yeah.
Barnes in the second half, just 4 of 13 for 131 yards, and 84 of those yards were on that long play to Niall Benjamin. But this is huge right now for California. Lots of time, 2:08 and 1 timeout. As Barnes will work from the shotgun. Benjamin goes in motion to the left. Low snap, but Barnes handles it. Lots of time. Better do something with it, and throws complete over the middle to Gaskins. Clock continues to roll. We're inside 2 minutes now, down to 1:55.
Bears got to pick up the tempo a little bit here. Good effort by Marty Gaskins working back to the ball there to get something out on first down.
2nd down and 5. Barnes needs to get the first here. Lots of time again. Throwing along the sideline, and it's caught by Gaskins. The ball was tipped by Woody Green and somehow did not come up with the pick, and Marty Gaskins got it. Boy, what a break.
Fantastic. Trying to go to Niall Benjamin, who pivots out of a little curl route. The ball goes off his hands, and a great catch, great concentration by Gaskins.
Down to 1.5 minutes to play. Barnes to work from the shotgun again. Again, a low snap. And throwing along the sideline, almost intercepted. Steve Wilson was right there, a very dangerous throw as he tried to force it into Gonzalez, and it'll be 2nd down and 10.
Yeah, Gonzalez running a little out route, but the corners are rolled up and they're in the flat. Tony's got to come right back to the ball. Barnes did not see the corner. Steve Wilson, best corner guy coverage guy for the Bulldogs. Pat Barnes kind of has a second or two to kind of regroup. There was a fast tempo there, and they still got 1:24. Plenty of time getting close to being in field goal range for Ryan Longwell.
Well, the Bears only need 10 or 15 yards to be in Longwell's field goal range. Barnes on 2nd down. They lost the ball. Rutherford, did he cover it or not? They had trouble with the exchange, and they fumble it away. Unbelievable. Wait a minute. Cal calls timeout.
Timeout, California. That's their 3rd and last timeout.
Well, the Bears in a shotgun formation. They've had problems when Pat's up behind the center, so they go into a shotgun formation. They just kind of rushed themselves on this draw play as you looked at Denny Schuler. Now let's take a look at the snap.
I guess Cal got it back.
Not bad, but not in the breadbasket for Renard Rutherford, and they are lucky. They just, they got a good break there.
Somehow Rutherford got an arm in there and got the ball back.
That was a break.
Fresno State had erupted. One official signaled that it was Fresno ball, and then another came in and somehow said that Cal retained possession.
So in the meantime, the Bears used their final timeout with 1:06 now. Clock management becomes essential.
3rd and 10 for California. And now the Bears have to either get out of bounds or pick up a first down here with no timeouts left.
Pat Barnes may be calling 2 plays at the line, and he may get up there and audible again, but you've got the time here where Denny's had time to think about the plays so they can think ahead and get things moving here so everybody's on the same page.
Well, the thing that they don't have the luxury of being able to do here is if they don't pick up the first down, they can't throw the ball down and down anything because it would be 4th down. So whatever they do here, if they don't pick up the first down, they're going to have to kick a field goal. So 3rd and 10. And Barnes again, throwing over the middle, incomplete. So it's 4th and 10. And Longwell has started out onto the field.
And you can see Coach Gilbertson is not happy by...
Not unlike Washington State, where Longwell had to attempt a 57-yarder that he just missed on. They will mark this ball down at the 47. That's exactly what it'll be again. A 57-yard attempt by Ryan Longwell with 1:08 to play.
And keep in mind, Ryan had a 43-yarder last week against San Diego State, which ties his career best.
And the Bulldogs will try to ice him here as they call timeout. The Bears would have liked to have gotten at least 10 yards closer for Longwell for the attempt here. That kick against Washington State from 57, if you remember last year, was right on the money and just fell short.
Well, there's no doubt Longwell's got the leg strength. There's no doubt, protection. Matt Loggins, who's the long snapper, just got to be crisp. Go out there just like it's in practice. Boom. Easier said than done.
Well, and the Bears are actually lucky that they have this attempt here, because it looked for all the world like Rutherford had fumbled the ball away as they had trouble, Barnes and Rutherford, on the exchange. And we have seen far too much of that for California in this ball game, leaving the ball on the ground.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Joe, the Bears probably lead the nation in muffed exchanges today.
Longwell's career long field goal is 43 yards, which he tied last week. Now they'll move it a yard closer at the 46, so it's a 56-yard attempt. Longwell does have the leg. He gets it away, but it will be short. That was not a real boomer by Longwell. And Fresno State, barring anything absolutely crazy here in the final minute and 3 seconds, will ruin Cal's debut on grass in 1995 and their home opener as well.
Now, there's no doubt, Joe, the Bears left the door open, and we've seen the kind of offense that these Western Athletic Conference teams have. Saw it with San Diego and Fresno State. These guys have some explosive, skilled players that can turn a game around, and they just weren't able to close the door.
Cal has no more timeouts. The Bears will not be able to stop the clock here. 1:03 to play. The Bulldogs will be able to just kneel down twice, and that ought to do it. Noddy does for the first time.
If you look at the statistics, too, I mean, tremendous yards put up by this Fresno State offense, yet the Cal defense played well. They pressured the quarterback. They did the things. They made the plays. But there were just those opportunities. The play calling was good enough where they could make up huge chunks of yardage and score. And to get back into this game, they hung in there, and you got to give them a lot of credit.
Jim Sweeney will go 13-7 against Pac-10 teams in the first ever meeting between these two teams. And for Fresno State, the Bulldogs have every reason to believe they should be right in the thick of things as far as the WAC is concerned. For the Bears, it is again regroup time as California starts out its season 0-2 with consecutive losses to Western Athletic Conference teams for the second year in a row. The Fresno State players head over to the Red Wave, who is making all kinds of noise here. Tough time for that man who has to regroup.
Yeah, I think the one situation that, you got to get the wins, but it really looks, and I know Coach Gilbertson touched on this, is that it just seems like we haven't made any progress, and when in fact they have, the results just aren't coming on the field, and that's the toughest thing.
We'll be back from Memorial Stadium, where the Bulldogs win it over the Bears by a score of 25-24.